send floodwaters into the city. These levees have never been put to the test by a major hurricane. It's the first time that this large metropolitan area has had a direct hit in 40 years. Brian.
All right, David, it's a little misleading, is it not, on the map? It looks like Lake Pontchartrain is a landlocked lake and Lake Bourne is a landlocked lake, but that's not the situation, right? That's actually open to the Gulf. So Gulf water is being pushed into those lakes as we speak here.
And what will happen is that as the water is pushed into Lake Bourne and to Lake Pontchartrain to the north, and they're really bays for, you know, the proper term, but they're referred to as lakes, the sea level will continue to rise. Tide levels continue to go up, that is, and the levees are only so high. And so if the storm surge is big enough, that's what would cause the lake then, when the storm goes by to the north, the winds would come around to the north and push the water that built in from the Gulf back south into the city, and that's where the fear is for later today.
All right, we'll continue to monitor. We'll be here, of course, throughout the morning watching this develop. But we have our local weather to talk about, which thankfully is not bad. But we also have another tropical depression that formed last night, tropical depression number 13. Here's Pamela Wright with both the local forecast and the latest on TD13. Pamela.
Hey there, Brian. We check out the radar from overnight, and we have had a few showers, and some of them pretty heavy, racing up over us, and you'll notice they're racing up from the south. And yes, far-reaching effects of Katrina, drawing this very still tropical flow for us, and that's going to keep us in a real steamy setup the next couple of days. Where we are this morning as far as temperatures go, look at it, starting out in the low 80s, so did not cool down much overnight. We're going to get into the low 90s today with all of the humidity, a south and southwesterly flow keeping us really quite hot, with the heat index again well over 100 again. So you can see the influence on the clouds, and these rain showers that are racing up from the south are actually being pulled up from the far-reaching effects of Katrina. So you can expect that kind of thing to be racing through your neighborhood throughout this morning, though it looks like most of it now is out over the water. So pretty breezy today, staying that way. Steam and storms through the day, a high temperature of 92 degrees, feeling more like 102, even into the 105 range. So some dangerous heat, and the storms will build as the afternoon goes on. So that's a quick look for now, and we'll get back with a full look of the tropics. TD13, nothing for you to sweat over this morning, but I'll give you all the report on that coming up in just a little while.
Pamela, thank you. And here at home, one of the most frustrating aspects of post-hurricane life is the lack of electricity. FPL continues to restore power to several 100,000 customers in both Miami-Dade and Broward counties as quickly as possible. CBS 4's Yusila Ramirez is live in Kendall with more on this story. Yusila, good morning.
Good morning, Angela. You know, that number started at over or almost at 1.5 million customers without power, and this morning the numbers were getting 212,900 in Miami-Dade County without power. In Broward, 101,200 still in the dark. And this is what has to be the most frustrating part. We are here on 84th Avenue. The north side of the street, it looks like they've got power back on. But if you take a look here on the south side of the street, still in the dark. So, of course, you know, there is a method to how FPNL is getting power back on, and they're asking the customers to be very patient. Now, while thousands remain without electricity, FPNL is working their crews very long hours to change that. They brought in utility crews from out of the state to try to take care of the situation. Now, according to the utility company, they're making good and steady progress, but one of the main problems, pretty much the downed trees that are an obstacle course for those crews who are trying to work around this. They have crews restoring power. I think it was more than 14,000 workers out on the street, including line workers, while hundreds of tree trimmers are trying to clear the path. So it is a very frustrating situation for those who are still in the dark. Many of those people lost power even before the storm hit last week. What FPNL is planning is to have 90% of their customers up and running by tomorrow, and the rest, most definitely, they say, by Friday. That's the very latest in Southwest Miami-Dade. Yusila Ramirez, CBS 4 News this morning.
5:17 and straight ahead, live pictures out of New Orleans right now. The Superdome is sheltering thousands of people who didn't get out in time.
Also, people who did get out waited hours. The area's highways in gridlock still at this hour.
Take a look at South Florida roads right now. Ty Kennedy has an eye on your commute from traffic control.
And in South Florida, the storm passes and the party begins. All the highlights of the Video Music Awards are just ahead. We'll be right back.
County Line Lexus makes the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales event even more golden. Right now, lease a fabulous new RX or ES 330 loaded with leather, CD, and sunroof for only $399 per month. $399 for only 36 months. Take advantage of huge Lexus Golden Opportunity savings, plus sign and drive on every new Lexus with absolutely no money down and no money out of pocket during the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales event going on right now at County Line Lexus, home of the Lexus Way.
This year, staying beautiful can take 1,000 lipstick applications, a dozen manicures, and several haircuts. But there's one beauty treatment you only have to do once. Imagine a dental plan that's a one-time beauty routine. New Crest White Strips Premium Plus. Get whiter teeth with just one kit. Keep them whiter for 18 months. Just once and you're done. New Crest White Strips Premium Plus. Part of the Crest Dental Plan for healthy, beautiful smiles for life.
This is one way to find out what your home is worth. Or simply go to housevalues.com. Find out what your home is worth free at housevalues.com. For your free home value report, go to housevalues.com.
There's a momentum at this station. You can feel it in this newsroom. There's an energy here that's contagious.
Ready to go live. Well, wherever the news is, we're going to know about it. We're going to have it on the air for you.
And we're following breaking news. Most reporters just get the story. Our reporters own the story.
The victim is talking to us.
First on 4. It's not just a job. It's a passion that we all have.
Watch Maggie Rodriguez and Rob Hanrahan on CBS 4 News. All-out coverage. If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your T-Mobile cellular phone.
You know, as we mentioned earlier, South Florida schools are split right now on whether to reopen today. For example, Miami-Dade public schools will be closed, but those in Broward will open its doors to students. CBS 4's Nefertiti Jacquez live from Fort Lauderdale, where one campus will have classes, but the question this morning is, will they have power? Neff, good morning.
Good morning, Danielle. Well, we're actually happy to announce that in the short time that we've been here, one of the schools that we didn't think was going to have power just had their power restored. That's Harbordale Elementary here in Fort Lauderdale, and as Danielle mentioned, Miami-Dade schools will be closed, but Broward schools are set to be open today, so parents, please listen up. And all of this comes in a time where Miami-Dade, which was affected severely by Hurricane Katrina, had been confident that they were going to reopen today, but yesterday 46 schools still didn't have any power, and FP&L had told the district that there was no way that they'd have that power restored by this morning, meaning the kids living in Miami-Dade have at least another day of Katrina vacation, while the kids living in Broward aren't so lucky. According to our news partners at the Miami Herald, they'll attend school today no matter what. In Broward, 9 schools were left without power as of 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. 7 of those will be open today by generators if FP&L hasn't restored their electricity. At this point, now that we thought there were going to be 2 without power, that included Harbordale Elementary, where we're live here, we have now learned that, as you can see, hence the light, that they will have power. And so at this point, I have my desk checking on Northside Elementary, which is the only school left that we think may not have power. And they say that even though the school's small, relatively small, they may send the students to a nearby school. They're not too sure. If not, the shades will be open and the windows will be up, and those kids will still have school this morning. Again, Miami-Dade schools will be closed and Broward schools will be open. That's the very latest in Fort Lauderdale. Nefertiti Jacquez, CBS 4 News this morning.
5:21 is the time right now. Straight ahead this morning, take a look. Live pictures from the Gulf Coast, where Katrina's powerful punch is now coming ashore.
Waves crashing from Louisiana to Florida's Panhandle.
And South Floridians still drying out from the storm that left the state 3 days ago.
But first, check out the numbers on Wall Street. We'll be right back.
CBS 4 News Traffic is sponsored by Palmetto Ford. Give us a try before you buy. 305-592-FORD.
Athlete's foot keeps coming back no matter what you do. Fed up with itchy feet? Stop athlete's foot in its tracks with dual-action Zeosorb AF powder. Zeosorb AF contains an effective medicine that kills athlete's foot fungi. And Zeosorb AF keeps your feet and toes dry to help stop athlete's foot from recurring. You too can enjoy healthy, happy feet. Get doctor-recommended dual-action Zeosorb AF powder.
Get Zeosorb, available at CVS and Walgreens. Before you leave on your vacation this summer, take a look at your auto insurance. Are you certain that you're getting the best price? You should know Mercury Insurance consistently beats its competitors in head-to-head rate comparisons. Florida drivers can save over $500 a year. So whatever road you take this summer, take Mercury along.
Mercury Insurance, going the extra mile for you. For a fast, free quote, call 888-4-MERCURY.
Well, 5:23 is the time right now, and certainly, you know, after Katrina, you don't want to have to think about anything else, but there is a tropical depression out there.
Pamela Wright, it's your turn.
It's poorly organized, okay? Yeah, we'll start with that. All right, we'll see what else is going on in the tropics this morning. And we did yesterday find tropical depression number 13 coming to life. And if you want to track it, 16.8 north, 49.4 west. It's moving to the northwest at a pretty good clip at 14. Winds are at 30 miles per hour. It is still nearly 800 miles to the east of the Lesser Antilles. And we can show you the way it's going to be steered. It should stay well north of the Lesser Antilles, so that's good news for them. And we do find in the long term it taking a pretty early turn. Well, in comparison to where we are or getting into the Caribbean, it doesn't look like it's going to do that. There you see that little dot being Bermuda on the map right there. So it's a system that is not very well organized. You see it right here, and then right behind it, well, that's a pretty significant system that's just about 300 miles away from the Cape Verde Islands. So this is not anything named. Could it be? Sure, starting to line up out there, but nothing too serious at this point. All right, see you later.
Pamela, thank you. Live pictures right now from New Orleans where we can see the pelting wind and rain at the Superdome, which thousands of people are using to take shelter from Hurricane Katrina. We'll be right back.
Do you have a sketchbook full of ideas? Do you still love Saturday morning cartoons? If you do, you're thinking like an animator, so why not become one?
At the Art Institute, you'll get a hands-on education designed to launch your career. You'll learn from experienced faculty, and small classes mean you'll get the individual attention you're looking for.
You belong here.
The Art Institute, 1-800-849-6854.
Still frustrated by your lower back or neck pain? An astonishing new DVD exposes why most doctors have no idea what to do when their patients suffer with lower back and neck pain. They try drugs and other ineffective treatments, hoping that someday the pain will go away, but it never does. Don't take another pill or even consider surgery until you get your free copy of the DVD that can change the way you can live life without back or neck pain. Call the toll-free 24-hour recorded message now at 800-245-0956.
Hey, Mr. Opportunity again. If you're one of those people who likes to have choices, then you are going to love my next two words, Honda Clearance. Because it's your opportunity to pick the Accord, Civic, Odyssey, or any other Honda you want for a deal that's very nice. Come on, Honda Plus Clearance? Do I have to draw you a picture? You get it? The 2005 Honda Clearance. Now you can lease a top-of-the-line Pilot EX for $269 a month for well-qualified customers. I'm Mr. Opportunity. I'm back, and I'm still knocking.
It's the ultimate sofa sale, when every single sofa without exception will be on sale at Rooms to Go. Save on leather sofas, motion sofas, sleeper sofas, and fabric sofas. Every sofa in every Rooms to Go showroom will be reduced to shocking low prices. It's an incredible opportunity, the ultimate sofa sale at Rooms to Go. Every sofa is on sale now through Tuesday.
CBS 4 Weather is sponsored by the South Florida Water Management District, protectors of the Everglades.
5:27 is the time right now. The American Airlines Arena was rocking last night as the stars came out for the MTV Video Music Awards.
Diddy was on.
He was.
The show put South Florida in the spotlight for the second year in a row. Here's CBS 4's Lisa Petrillo from the AAA.
The music world's biggest night rocked the AAA. Off the top, Kanye West grabbed a Moon Man, winning Best Male Video, while Kelly Clarkson took home Best Female.
Now the show within a show, the Fashion Parade. Time to run down VMA's most styling stars. Beyonce, who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? Gorgeous.
No doubt about it, the Diddy white carpet was red hot. So hot, many stars couldn't stop talking about it.
Nelly, how you doing? Last year we voted you the king of bling, and you are styling tonight. You got the cool look tonight.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a little moist out here. I guess the humidity, but it's good. It's Miami, so you know you gotta love it.
It says it's the hottest party of the year, and it is physically the hottest, right?
It is physically and any other way. You know, I think it's a lot of fun, and everybody kind of waits for what the shock is going to be and see what people are wearing.
Well, and it is a little sweaty here in South Florida.
Okay, I have an announcement to make. Honestly, this is the worst hair city on the planet.
It's 211 degrees, right? What do? I wear the corduroy.
I'm noticing that.
Okay. You know what? I apparently have a lot to prove.
Other stars too hot to stop, cruising by cameras to find some AC. Usher breezed by. Kelly Clarkson looked stressed. Jessica Simpson moved in her micro mini. Lindsay Lohan waved. Paris Hilton chatted on the phone while walking by, while Gwen Stefani, who everyone thought wasn't coming, made a big statement in a super tight leopard dress. The A-listers all agree South Florida and the VMAs always make for an exciting match.
The VMAs, I mean, I just can't wait to see Shakira and Gwen Stefani and the after parties. And I have the non-official party at home after, so you're invited. And yeah.
Party at Paulina's. We'll let you know how that turned out. Now, two big changes for tonight. Really good surprises are going to be Diddy himself. He offered a fashion challenge, offering $50,000 to the favorite female and male fashion person. We'll see who he picks a little later on. And the other question is, will the VMAs return? There is a big question there because it was a bit of a stressful week for them. From the AAA, I'm Lisa Petrillo, CBS 4 News This Morning.
5:29 is the time right now. Coming up right after the break, the very latest on Hurricane Katrina from Weather Control.
Closer, clearer, stronger than ever before. Presenting the superior sound quality of the new alternative fiber optic network in the state of Florida, which no other phone company can offer. With new long-distance calling plans starting as low as 1 cent per minute. Welcome to the new Super Telecom.
Have you lost your home to foreclosure? We can help. Call Home Plus Solutions today at 305-651-8711. Losing your home was painful enough. Let HPS assist you in the healing process. If your home was sold at a court auction, it may not be too late to recover money from the sale. Let our team of legal recovery experts start working for you now with absolutely no upfront charges. And remember, we only get paid if we recover money for you. Call Home Plus Solutions, a full-service foreclosure solutions firm.
Now, live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
And these are live pictures of Hurricane Katrina as the Category 4 storm menaces the Gulf Coast.
A look at crashing waves as the monster storm moves into New Orleans. Officials say they are fearing a catastrophic storm surge.
And as Katrina does roar ashore on the Gulf Coast, South Florida is still recovering from its visit here. The storm forcing many South Florida schools to close even today.
Yes, Miami-Dade County public and Catholic schools will remain closed today, but in Broward County, schools are open. All Catholic schools in Broward County will be open with a few exceptions due to building damage. Now, parents are encouraged to contact individual schools.
Let's give you an idea of where we are right now in terms of restoring power in South Florida. As of 5 o'clock this morning, more than 212,000 customers do remain without electricity in Miami-Dade, and more than 100,000 are in the dark in Broward. Nearly 1.4 million customers have had their power restored since Katrina swept through our area.
But right now, the big story is happening along the Gulf Coast, where people are bracing for the worst.
You're certainly right about that. CBS 4's chief meteorologist Brian Norcross is here to kick off our team coverage. Brian.
All right, it does not look like, thankfully, that this is going to be the worst. Now, we're not saying at all that this isn't going to be very bad for some part of the Gulf Coast around the New Orleans area and to the east of there. But the storm is weakening some this morning to some degree as expected. Here you see the latest numbers, and we'll show you the details on that. In fact, even as we've been on the air here a half an hour, we can see that the weakening trend is continuing, as these storms very often do in this area here right off the coast of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and North Florida. But in any case, we all remember Ivan last year, which was a weakened version of its former self, did tremendous damage in Pensacola. 150-mile-an-hour winds as of the 5 o'clock advisory. Pressure at that time was 915. but now hurricane hunters have reported 917. Again, another indication of this slow weakening process. 90 miles south-southeast of New Orleans. Moving to the north at 15 miles an hour, and we'll see the significance of that here in just one second. Now, here is the track as forecast by the National Hurricane Center, and you see that most of the possible future tracks seem to take the storm to the east of New Orleans. Anything over here, it would have to take an extreme left side of the future track to go west of New Orleans, which is a worse situation. So odds are it's going to go east of New Orleans. Odds are, and clearly it's going to go, not odds, clearly it's going to be essentially moving from south to north. And we'll talk to David Bernard, who has a lot of experience there forecasting hurricanes in New Orleans in just a second, and he'll give you an idea of why that is significant. And maybe this thing will come in just weak enough that the worst case will not happen in New Orleans. But let's wait and see, and we'll talk to David here in just one moment. Then the storm spreads to the north and moves all the way up through the Ohio Valley and on up into southern Canada, and it's going to take pretty much all week to do that, but the weather will be very, very bad up here in the middle of the country and through Mississippi and points north, so anybody planning any travel up that way will likely be disrupted by this storm as it moves to the north. The remnants of it move to the north. Now here's a satellite picture, and we can see this process that happened to it. There it was yesterday with this perfectly symmetrical purple area there around the eye, and then look at the outer area. You see it's generally round too. A little bit of erosion, a little flat area on the left side, but generally round. Now watch, we go through the 12 hours and look at the left side of the storm. What's happening here, the air over here is somewhat dry, and it's being pulled in to the storm, and so we're getting this erosion even all the way around down the backside and on the west side, and we can see that the core of the storm, the purples don't go all the way around anymore, so all those are hopeful signs of a slightly weaker storm. How much weaker remains to be seen, and there is some possibility, even because all this is water down here. It looks like land, but it's not. It's mostly water, so it's still too close to call on exactly how strong it's going to be, likely a Category 4 storm. And there you see, if it stays right on the National Hurricane Center track, it would go just to the east of New Orleans. Now, I understand we're going to be able to visit with either Brian Andrews or Bianca Solizano in Biloxi or in New Orleans, so Justin, if you'd let me know. We're still working on contacting them. All right, let me show you the radar, and then we'll just see what happens and see if we can get a hold of those folks there. As you can imagine, communications is difficult. Here is the radar presentation as the storm approaches, and I think you can tell it's making a little bit of a bend to the right here, so odds are it's going to go ashore between New Orleans and Biloxi, maybe very close to the New Orleans metropolitan area, but the question is whether that eye wall, that little part right there, hits the New Orleans metropolitan area or not for them, but clearly this is going to be a very, very bad situation over here on the Mississippi coast. And by the way, the bad weather is spreading all the way east to well into the Florida Panhandle, and they'll likely have hurricane-force winds here in Pensacola, and a tremendous amount of water is being pushed up here. 20 to 25 feet of water may come ashore on top, with waves on top of that, in the Biloxi area over to the west in the southern Mississippi and on into the Louisiana area. But for more detail on that close up, let's go over to David Bernard, who knows the New Orleans area and the southern Louisiana very well. David, now, what do you think is happening right now? What's going to happen? And what does this south to north track mean in terms of good news or bad news for New Orleans and for the area there to the east?
Brian, I went back a few minutes ago and took a look at the track of Hurricane Camille and some of the modeling data as far as what it meant for storm surge. Now, this track isn't going to be exactly like Camille, but it's pretty close. And these outlying parishes from New Orleans, this is St. Bernard Parish and Plaquemines Parish right here, this little piece of land that sticks down into the Gulf. These areas suffered tremendous storm surge and tidal flooding during Camille, and I think this time it's going to be the same story because we're getting tremendous amounts of Gulf water pushed in from the east into the east-facing portions of these parishes just south and east of New Orleans. And there's a little closer look, and this barrier island here, which is inhabited, Grand Isle, they're going to have a lot of washover from the first side of the storm and on the back side. But in New Orleans, the concern is the water pushing pushing into Lake Borgne here from the Gulf and then into Lake Pontchartrain. And this map is a little deceiving. This piece of land really isn't solid here. This lake is actually a bay and opens to the Gulf. And so as the storm is approaching from the south, the water is piling into it. If it gets too high, it could spill into the city. But with the storm fading a little bit to the east, that's not the worst track. The worst track is if the storm came in from the southeast and moved to the northwest. And here's why. This is a kind of an image of New Orleans without the radar over it. And there you can see Lake Pontchartrain. And notice how this is all marsh in here and then opens up into Lake Borgne. That's the city. That's the Mississippi River and the Gulf below it. So it's a city surrounded by water. And the only thing preventing this water at this time from spilling into the city from the Gulf and the lake is a hurricane protection levee system. And this next map will show you how the levee system is constructed around the city. This red line is literally like a fortress of levees built around the entire city on both sides of the Mississippi River and along Lake Pontchartrain to keep the water out. There are people that live outside this red line, east of New Orleans and south of New Orleans. Those areas are going to be inundated with a tremendous amount of water and storm surge, and that will become clear tomorrow. The question this morning is Katrina strong enough and on this track to overtop some of these, especially east-facing levees? I think, Brian, that these are going to be the most vulnerable areas, the points of the city that face to the east with this particular storm. I don't know, with it passing this far east, if it's going to raise the tide level enough in the lake to breach the levees along here on the north end of the city, in other words, along the lakefront of Lake Pontchartrain. But the east-facing areas toward Lake Borgne and out toward the Gulf that are, going toward Biloxi, these areas are probably going to be the most vulnerable.
The wind is going to come from the north, which of course is not favorable there at the lake, David.
Right.
But the question is whether there's enough time to pile enough water into the lake so that the north wind then can top the levee, because the levee is made for a Category 3 storm, right?
That's right. The levee was, these were constructed after Hurricane Betsy in 1965, which folks here in South Florida are familiar with Betsy as well, and it's never been put to the test by a major storm. This morning is the first time that we've had a major storm come this close directly to New Orleans in 40 years. So we don't really know what's going to happen. But I think with the storm pulling away to the east, even with the tide levels coming up, once what Brian's referring to is once the storm goes north into Mississippi, the winds will turn around from the east to the north, and so all the water has been piled in. The north winds will push it toward the city. It may be a close call in some spots, but I think it's these areas out here in this east-facing portion of the flood wall areas that might be the most vulnerable. And we don't really have it on this map, but Brian, you're familiar with this. A couple of years ago, after Tropical Storm Isidore, areas north of Lake Pontchartrain, a lot of people live on the other side of the lake from New Orleans. After the storm went by to the north, the lake got so high, but the west winds came in and pushed all that water up into portions of St. Tammany Parish and areas around Slidell, Louisiana. That is a distinct possibility this time as well.
Yeah, and you said it, but just to reemphasize it, in the modern time here, many people now live outside the hurricane flood protection levee system. And these new developments are all, a lot of them are spread outside, and many of those, I mean, are absolutely guaranteed to be flooded, are they not?
And I've seen low pressure systems in the Gulf during winter, like winter storm type systems that have caused flooding out here in these spots, and even populated areas north of New Orleans, again on the north side of Lake Pontchartrain, for various situations. So I have no doubt with a 150-mile-per-hour hurricane, or even if it weakens further than that over the next couple of hours, it's already been pushing the seas toward the city for the last couple of days, the tidal levels, that we are going to see some extensive surge flooding here, especially east of the city, possibly those North Shore areas of Lake Pontchartrain, and of course, as you mentioned, the worst of it will be probably in Hancock and Harrison County on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, running in places like Bay St. Louis, past Christiane, which was where Hurricane Camille made landfall, and then over toward Biloxi and even Mobile Bay. They're anticipating a large storm surge that far east.
All right, David, we'll be back in touch with you shortly. All right, we have not been able to communicate with our folks there in Biloxi and New Orleans, but we will continue to try. You can imagine the conditions are deteriorating there as we speak. And Hurricane Camille is the benchmark storm for southern Mississippi, just like Hurricane Andrew is for South Florida in modern times. And I was in past Christiane and Biloxi after Hurricane Camille, and I can tell you that you could stand at the Gulf front there and look to the north and see nothing standing within your eyesight. It was the most amazing thing I ever saw in my young years there. We do have other things going on in the tropics. Tropical Depression 13 formed yesterday, and here's Pamela Wright to take a look at that and the South Florida forecast. Pamela?
Hey, Brian, we'll start here at home, and still some far-reaching effects of Katrina drawing up some rain this morning, and some batches of it are pretty heavy. We are talking about a real steamy setup for us, and that's unfortunate given the number of people still without power. So it's going to be pretty brutal, and everybody's hopefully just opening up their homes to people like many of our friends who still don't have power. So here comes the rain and thunderstorms, and you can see the influence coming up from the south, still the outermost pull from Katrina. So steamy sunshine, a few storms today, yes, into the afternoon. We are going to expect those. For tomorrow, yes, the sizzling sunshine unfortunately stays with us. With the southwesterly flow, things will really heat up, getting into the low 90s, feeling much hotter than that even. And then by midweek, we're holding on to this flow, and we're going to keep these strong afternoon storms a good possibility. All right, let's check out what is going on in the tropics quickly, and I'll show you TD13 that did come to life, but it's not very well organized, and we're seeing flare-ups here and there, and tough for the Hurricane Center to even pinpoint where the center of circulation is. They have it right now plotted 800 miles to the east of the Lesser Antilles, and in the long run, staying to the north of the Lesser Antilles, and then hopefully moving out into open waters and not affecting Bermuda, we hope. We go to the coast of Africa. This may be the one we have to pay more attention to, potentially our next tropical depression. It's barely off the coast of Africa now, off the Cape Verde Islands, so we'll watch that one. That's 13. Don't think we have to get too worked up about that one. All right, it's a hot, steamy day today, and we'll be dodging storms later on. See you in a bit.
Pamela, thank you. 5:44 is the time right now, and people all across the Gulf Coast are experiencing the wrath that is Hurricane Katrina. They're also bracing, though, for the worst.
Yes, CBS 4's Bianca Solorzano has more from Biloxi, Mississippi.
The massive hurricane started hammering the Gulf Coast overnight and isn't expected to let up for hours. New Orleans looked like a ghost town as it braced for a direct hit.
This has the potential for catastrophic damage and loss of life.
The mayor ordered all 485,000 residents to get out, and highways leading to higher ground were still jammed in the darkness. 3 nursing home residents died during the evacuation. Those without the means to leave headed for last resort shelters. Well past nightfall, many were still waiting for a seat in the Superdome.
So we've got a very safe and secure environment for them. It's just not going to be comfortable.
Stranded Big Easy visitors found shelter on the higher floors of their hotels.
To start out as vacation and a college trip, and who knows how it's going to end.
Katrina is such a big storm. Hurricane force winds can reach out about 100 miles from its center, creating danger here in Mississippi as well as Alabama and also far inland. But New Orleans looks the most vulnerable. The city sits below sea level and is surrounded by a large lake and the Mississippi River. Katrina's storm surge could easily top the levees built to keep the water out.
We're looking at from 15 to 20 feet of water in the city during that time.
Katrina took 9 lives when it struck Florida's southeastern coast as a much weaker storm. Hunkered down Gulf Coast residents have little to do now but wait and see how bad this hit will be. In Biloxi, Mississippi, Bianca Solorzano, CBS 4 News.
5:46 and straight ahead, live pictures from New Orleans, where Katrina is expected to move onshore in a little more than an hour.
Also ahead this morning, more on areas distributing water and ice to South Floridians who need it. Keep it right here.
Hi, I'm Larry Coker for Evenings Delight. For the absolute best selection and prices on barbecue grills, fireplaces, and hot tubs, go where I shop, Evenings Delight. Come in today for great holiday specials. Oh, Evenings Delight delivers too.
Boy, do I love getting taken for a ride. What I don't love is when the big guy gets taken for a ride on his auto insurance. That's where callinginsurance.com can help. With just one easy phone call to a knowledgeable licensed rep, you can compare rates from top auto insurance companies, buy the policy that's right for you, and you could save hundreds. Compare, buy, save at insurance.com.
Call now and start saving now. 888-700-1466.
If you're a radio-controlled fanatic like I am, you know where to go. Warwick's Hobby Superstore. Warwick has RC boats, planes, cars, and trucks, from small to unbelievable. If it flies, floats, or rolls, Warwick has it. Plus lots of knowledgeable people around to help beginners or experts. Warwick has so much stuff I can hardly keep my hands off it. Come on, you guys. This isn't funny. Warwick's Hobby Superstore, your place for family fun.
Hi, I'm attorney Robert J. Fensterscheid. People have been telling me their legal problems for over 25 years. That's why I created my website, tellrobert.com. When you log on, you can fill out a free legal evaluation or download a free copy of the latest living will. Injured? Tell Robert. Car accident? Tell Robert. Hurt by prescription drugs? Tell Robert. Please visit me at tellrobert.com or call me at 1-800-LAWMAN8.
Do you need lighting or fans? Save this Thursday through Saturday during South Dade Lighting's in-house clearance sale. Inventories are overstocked and many items will be sold at or below cost. South Dade Lighting, 130th Street and 87th Avenue.
Chevy's proud to have the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And Suburban, ranked highest in initial quality. We've always broken the rules. Now we're rewriting them with the Chevy employee discount for everyone. You pay what we pay, not a cent more. We're continuing the Chevy employee discount for everyone. Get employee pricing on almost every 05 Chevy vehicle.
See your Southern Chevy dealers. If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your T-Mobile cellular phone.
Well, 5:49 is the time right now. I think this is our first check of traffic for the morning, huh?
I think you're right.
Take it away, Ty.
Hey, Danielle, good morning. Angela, things are starting to get back to normal out there on the roads, but don't expect a whole lot of traffic this morning. Let's start off taking a look at the Palmetto. If you are heading north or southbound, it's looking pretty good for you. Southbound, steady stream of cars heading towards the Dolphin Expressway. Just bear in mind, as we move over to the maps, you come to an intersection where lights aren't working, you need to treat that as a four-way stop. I've seen all weekend long, and since pretty much the storm hit, people just blowing through that intersection, and I've seen several accidents occur. So remember now, if you approach an intersection where lights aren't working, all four sides need to come to a complete stop and then proceed through the intersection there. Lots of lights out in Broward County, secondary streets not working. Making our way up north, 95, either direction looks pretty good for you. Oakland Park heading all the way down towards 595, and the Dolphin Expressway, both directions open between the Turnpike on your approach to Galloway. So right now, things are pretty quiet out there on the roads. I'll stay on top of your roadway conditions. Ty Kennedy, CBS 4 News this morning.
Well, as we know, we certainly suffered a jolt here when Katrina came on shore, and a lot of us don't have power still. What we do know right now, Danielle, is 262,000 people in Miami-Dade don't have power, and 118,000 in Broward don't. But about 1 million homes have restored power, which is a good thing, but there's still more to be done. And joining us on the phone now, Pat Davis with FP&L. Are you there, Pat?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. The problem I'm hearing is I live in Miami Shores, and a lot of us have power, but then a couple of my friends don't. What's the problem with little pockets of areas and little neighborhoods not having power restored, but the vast majority of the area having power restored?
Well, if you're on a street, for example, in the area that you just mentioned, and everyone has power but you don't, you should call us, and that number is 1-800-4-OUTAGE. Use that number if everyone in your street or your neighborhood has power, but you don't have power. Now, as we begin our fourth day of restoration today, 75% of the 1.45 million customers affected by Hurricane Katrina have had their power restored. So that's good news. And all the affected customers in Palm Beach County had power by Saturday.
Well, Pat, you know, it's interesting because when you talk about 75% having their power restored, certainly the other 25% aren't that happy right now this morning. And so are you happy with your efforts and how quickly you're restoring power to people? And what would you say to those 25% who are still in the dark this morning as we head into day 4?
Please be patient. There have been areas where there is so much toppled vegetation and debris that all of that has to be removed before restoration efforts can even begin. And those are the areas that are part of the final 10%, which we said would be restored between Tuesday and Friday. And we're actually going to have more specific geographic power restoration estimates later today. Some may be restored as early as Wednesday, others on Thursday, and those in the hardest hit areas by Friday. And those in the hardest hit areas are the 1s and 2s that have just had significant damage to buildings and, you know, to their homes. And those are just, you know, part of the restoration process. Certainly, these folks are important. We are out there working 24/7, and we're not going to stop until every single customer has power restored.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, what they need to realize is even if you don't see a power truck in your neighborhood, it doesn't mean they aren't working. There are huge grids that they can fix immediately that impact a huge neighborhood. So we do know you are working around the clock. We really do appreciate it. And for those who are still in the dark, we're thinking about you because it is just steamy out there. Pat Davis, FPL, thank you so much.
5:53 is the time right now. Straight ahead this morning, take a look. Live pictures out of New Orleans this morning where Katrina is rocking the camera lens. Hard to see there in the dark, but you can see that camera lens rocking a little bit back and forth there, but the worst is yet to come. We're talking about the area near the Superdome, which is where these live pictures are coming from. The Superdome is also housing thousands of people taking shelter from Katrina. More after the break.
CBS 4 News Traffic is sponsored by Palmetto Ford. Give us a try before you buy. 305-592-FORD.
This is one way to find out what your home is worth. Or simply go to housevalues.com. Find out what your home is worth free at housevalues.com. For your free home value report, go to housevalues.com.
Fact. I used to worry about nasty germs and ugly stains. But now I use Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner. Lysol's powerful formula clings, killing germs. It gets under the rim. Look how fast tough lime scale disappears. Watch this. It destroys tough rust stains, leaving the bowl sparkling clean. And it kills germs to help protect my family.
Life demands Lysol. That's a fact. To clean and brighten your toilet, try Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner with bleach.
We're closer than pages that stick in a book. We're closer than ripples that play in a brook.
Not a soul can bust this team in two. We stick together like glue. Life is gonna be a wee wow wee for my shadow and me.
You dog. The beautiful furniture you want gets delivered today. Come into El Dorado Boulevard, a different kind of furniture store. Athlete's Foot keeps coming back no matter what you do. Fed up with itchy feet? Stop Athlete's Foot in its tracks with dual-action Zeosorb AF powder. Zeosorb AF contains an effective medicine that kills Athlete's Foot fungi. And Zeosorb AF keeps your feet and toes dry to help stop Athlete's Foot from recurring. You too can enjoy healthy, happy feet. Get doctor-recommended dual-action Zeosorb AF powder.
Get Zeosorb, available at CVS and Walgreens.
5:56 is the time right now. Let's get another check of the roadways.
Hi there, Ty.
Hey, good morning. Let's start off taking a look at the maps this morning and see how things are shaping up for you this morning. Again, if you're traveling through Broward County, 95, no issues here heading north or southbound between roughly the commercial area heading all the way down towards 595. Reports of a crash, 595. You're going to find that eastbound right around Nob Hill. And remember, if you come to an intersection where lights are not working, all four sides need to stop and they need to proceed. Please treat those as a four-way stop. It's not a free-for-all out there. You can't just keep going through. Otherwise, you could find yourself involved in a pretty nasty accident. We'll update you on your roadway conditions very soon. Ty Kennedy, CBS 4 News this morning.
It is 5:57 right now. Just ahead, more live pictures coming out of New Orleans this morning. The story of the day. We're talking about the Superdome sheltering thousands of people that didn't get out of the New Orleans area in time.
But first, take a look at your winning lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
in 4 Americans has some form of heart disease. Hi, I'm CBS 4's Maggie Rodriguez. Many families have been affected by heart disease. That's why I urge you to join me at the 2005 Miami-Dade County Heart Walk on Saturday, September 17th at Peacock Park in Coconut Grove. Together, we can raise funds for life-saving heart and stroke research. For more information, call 305-856-1449 and help CBS 4 and the American Heart Association change tomorrow today.
Boy, do I love getting taken for a ride. What I don't love is when the big guy gets taken for a ride on his auto insurance. That's where calling insurance.com can help. With just one easy phone call to a knowledgeable licensed rep, you can compare rates from top auto insurance companies, buy the policy that's right for you, and you could save hundreds. Compare, buy, save at insurance.com.
Call now and start saving now. 888-700-1466.
City Furniture has a fantastic selection of Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses. A queen set is just $3.99. Comfort choices include firm, plush, and pillow top models, all in stock at the guaranteed lowest price. Plus, City Furniture now offers same-day delivery, 7 days a week, and no payments for 1 full year.
When was the last time your phone company gave you unlimited freedom? Like the freedom to call as much as you want for 1 low monthly fee. Call now to find out more. Welcome to the new Super Telecom.
Nature's own white wheat. All the nutrition of wheat bread with a look and taste of white.
The time right now is 5:59. Let's take a look at some of the stories we're working on for 6 o'clock.
Katrina, a Category 4 hurricane coming up right now on the Big Easy. The storm already claiming lives there.
And thousands of people trying to get out of the way. Many forced to hunker down in the Superdome.
The CBS 4 weather team is here this morning watching Katrina's every move as it comes ashore.
Brian Norcross here in Weather Control. Katrina just about to come ashore in southeastern Louisiana. As you say, approaching New Orleans, and it looks like a very, very bad day as far east as the Florida Panhandle. Full coverage coming up.
And back here at home in South Florida, crews are still out in force trying to restore power knocked out by Katrina's punch.
And neighborhoods across South Florida patiently waiting for that power. I'm Yusila Ramirez. We'll have the very latest coming up next.
Some schools are open and some are staying shut this Monday morning. A live report straight ahead as we begin our live team coverage.
And also this morning, the Video Music Awards rocked South Florida last night. All the highlights just ahead. CBS 4 News This Morning starts right now.
Now, live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
Well, good morning to you, South Florida. I'm Angela Ray in for Susan Barnett.
And I'm Danielle Knox. Good to be with you as always this morning. You know, as Katrina roars ashore on the Gulf Coast, South Florida is still recovering from its visit here. The storm forcing many South Florida schools to close this morning.
Well, Miami-Dade County public and Catholic schools will remain shut down today, but in Broward County, schools are open. All Catholic schools in Broward County will be open with a few exceptions due to some building damage.
Now, here is the very latest on where we stand in terms of restoring power in South Florida. As of just about 5 o'clock this morning, more than 212,000 customers remained without electricity in Miami-Dade, and more than 100,000 are in the dark in Broward County. Overall, though, nearly 1.4 million customers have had their power restored since Katrina swept through our area. But of course, right now, the big story this morning is happening along the Gulf Coast, where people there are bracing for the worst.
CBS 4 Chief Meteorologist Brian Norcross is here to kick off our team coverage. Brian.
Angela, Danielle, we're watching the storm just coming ashore now. Take a look at the radar view out of the New Orleans area and Louisiana area. Here's New Orleans, the city of New Orleans up there to the north. This is the Mississippi River. It comes down, and then the Delta down here where it empties into the Gulf of Mexico. There's an island here called Grand Isle. There's the eye of the hurricane. Now, here's the good news this morning. The hurricane is weakening some. In fact, as we've been watching it here just in the last hour, we continue to see it weaken. We see just that small fragment left of the red of the eye wall, although this yellow here is still the eye wall. That's another piece over there. Now, at Grand Isle, the winds are gusting now up to 114 miles per hour. Right there, sustained at 87. A little further north, gusting to 100 up in this area here. And then at New Orleans, gusting to 85 at the lakefront airport there. So as the center of the hurricane gets closer, clearly the weather is just going to deteriorate, and it's fairly slowly moving on up to the north. Now, here are the numbers just in from the National Hurricane Center, just relocating the position. We don't have any new wind numbers yet, but at 28.8, 89.6, 150-mile-an-hour winds was the estimate as of 5 o'clock, and we'll see what the expectation is based on the trends we're seeing on the radar, that number will go down, but still likely going to be a Category 4 here at landfall, moving north at 15 miles an hour. Faster speed now, and that's a good thing. Moving by faster, there's less time to pile water up in there in the vulnerable areas in metropolitan New Orleans. And 950 millibars was the number at 5 o'clock. Since then, it's gone up to 917. Again, part of the weakening trend, 85 miles south-southeast of New Orleans. Now, here's the future track. You see most of the possibilities in the yellow cone keep it to the east, which takes a little bit of the heat off of New Orleans and puts more of the heat on Mississippi, the Mississippi coast in here, which has such terrible experience with hurricanes. So we'll just have to see how exactly that develops, and we'll have more analysis on that in a second. And I'm going to show you a satellite picture, and we can see this weakening trend here in just a moment as well. But first of all, let's go to New Orleans now. Our Brian Andrews is there. He's on the telephone. Brian, what's going on there now?
All right, Brian, I just threw on my rain gear, and we went outside the hotel. Man, I got to tell you, the best way to describe it would be like looking at a blizzard, but it's not snow, it's just rain, and it's coming at you from every which direction. It is howling down Canal Street right now. My photographer, Kevin Martels, is trying to get some video, but the moisture is so much it just shut down our camera. We're seeing just a tremendous amount of rain, and the wind, it's unlike anything I've ever seen, and I think I've seen my fair share of storms. But and this isn't even the bad stuff, Brian. You said we're going to get the more of the hurricane force gusts later in the morning, right?
It's going to the wind is going to just come up as we go through the morning. Yeah, you're a good 4.5 hours away from the eye, so probably a little bit before that, what's left of the eye wall will come through New Orleans. So, I mean, you're really a couple bands out from the center now.
Well, no real damage to the hotel here, but I can tell you that one of the skyscrapers in downtown New Orleans at night, it's lit up with a ring of blue neon. Part of that blue neon has been knocked out. We know there are sections of New Orleans that are already without power, as we've seen at least 3 transformers explode over the course of the last hour, looking out from our vantage point on the 5th floor. The concern in the hotel that we're in, which is a 30-some-odd story building, 29 stories, pardon me, is that you're eventually going to have some of these windows explode or pop. So they've got all of the guests, as we've been telling you, huddled into the ballroom to ride this thing out safely. But I just was out in it. I can tell you it's nasty, and it's only going to get uglier as the morning continues.
On the radar, we see there's sort of a red band over New Orleans now, radar estimates of 3 to 10 inches of rain so far. And it's interesting because as the storm has come unraveled some and weakened, you may be getting some of the heaviest rain at the moment. So the rain may actually let up some, but the wind is just going to increase. And by the way, the windows that they use in Louisiana in buildings are nothing like the modern, even in modern buildings there, are nothing like the windows they use here in South Florida. So nobody should be near any windows. And I know the hotel you're in there, and that's not a brand new hotel. So
yeah, we're going to stay away from the windows. I think what we're going to end up doing is I'm going to run real quick. We're going to try to get this camera working to catch some images of this stuff, because when we finally do get a satellite link, you got to see the pictures of this thing. It's incredible.
All right.
I got a little digital camera, so I'm going to see if I can snap a shot and then email it to the station, and I'll touch base with you guys in a little bit.
Okay. All right, Brian. We'll talk to you very soon. All right, back over here to the radar. I wanted to show you what I was talking about. Look up there. Look at the reds up there around New Orleans. So that's heavy rain, but still, of course, the strongest winds are down here around the eye, and that's a good long ways away right now. Now, I did want to go over and just show you the satellite picture here. Well, first of all, the future track, just because you may be traveling to the north, and this is significantly going to affect the Midwest. So just today, travel later today, even as far north as, for instance, Nashville, and then tomorrow into the Ohio Valley, on up into the state of Ohio, and then eventually into southern Canada, may be affected by this circulation. Here's a satellite picture. Now, watch it weaken. Notice the symmetric area around, and draw a very good circle there, but the symmetric area around the eye. Now watch as it goes to the north, and now we can see the dry air coming in on this side, eroding that side of the hurricane, and also even right around the center, we don't see anymore the purples all the way around. So, I mean, some good news there. Still, it's on a track to cause significant damage, but it may be enough weaker and enough to the east to allow the levees around New Orleans to do their job and keep the water out of the city. It may be happening that way, but it looks like right now still too close to call. All right, let's go ahead and check in with Pamela Wright for a South Florida forecast, and then we'll be back here with David Bernard, and we'll talk about the New Orleans situation here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Brian. This morning, temperatures are super steamy out there with the humidity and a strong tropical flow. Here you are, starting out this morning in the low to mid 80s, feeling like the 90s out there. So not much relief, and especially if you know somebody who still doesn't have power, this is certainly a day to invite them in if you do, because it is going to be really hot and sticky. And we're still seeing this southerly pull from the far-reaching effects of Katrina. South and southwest flow is going to stay with us this week, so maybe you know that means super hot, and also good likelihood of afternoon storms this week, and some are going to be on the heavy side. So pretty breezy today, and that includes offshore. So we'll get into your marine forecast and see what else is brewing out in the tropics coming up. 92 your high today, but add on a good 10-15 degrees to that as to what it's going to feel like to you. Be careful, don't spend too much time inside. If you don't have power, just go hang at a friend's or at the mall or something, especially in Miami-Dade where a lot of the schools are still out. It really takes it out of you being in that house that long and not having the AC. So have a safe morning, and I'll talk to you again. We'll even look ahead to the end of the week.
Pamela, thank you very much. The Gulf Coast braces for the arrival of Hurricane Katrina. An estimated 80% of New Orleans residents packed interstate roads trying to get out of Katrina's way. CBS 4's Corinne Winter is in Biloxi, Mississippi with the very latest on the storm.
Mandatory evacuations in parts of Mississippi. Thousands of residents hit the road early over the weekend to try to beat the storm, but police say they're surprised at the number of people on the roadways here in Biloxi at this hour trying to make it to local shelters. Hurricane Katrina has Mississippi's coastal communities bracing for impact.
Regardless of whether it's a 5 or a 4, the potential for destruction of property and loss of life is very high with this storm. It's a very dangerous storm. In Biloxi, Mississippi, police enforced a mandatory evacuation order and overnight curfew. Thousands of residents fled the city while others spent the night in local shelters. To the south and west in New Orleans, where forecasters predict Katrina could make landfall, there was also a mandatory evacuation. More than 20,000 people sought refuge in the Louisiana Superdome. The state's governor said she expects extensive property damage, but hopefully not a high death toll.
We know we have stubborn people out there, so we want them to survive. We want them to be right about it, but we're hoping for the best.
Alabama's governor ordered residents in low-lying areas to evacuate. President Bush declared states of emergency in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama.
This is going to be the biggest natural disaster that the Red Cross has ever responded to if it meets the projections.
Federal emergency management workers say they're prepared to assist storm victims once Katrina finishes unleashing its fury. Police say several city streets are already flooded, as well as a major highway. They say it's partially impassable right now due to the storm surge. In Biloxi, Mississippi, Corinne Winter, now back to you.
Corrine, thank you. Here at home, one of the most frustrating aspects of post-hurricane life, of course, is the lack of electricity. FPL continues to restore power to several 100,000 customers in both Miami-Dade and Broward counties as quickly as possible. CBS 4's Usila Ramirez is live in Kendall with more on the story. Good morning, Usila.
Good morning, Angela. The number of folks without power this morning is now at 314,000 between Miami-Dade and Broward counties. That number is way down, but for those folks, it is extremely frustrating. Like in this neighborhood here, we're off of Southwest 84th Street, and the north side of the street has power. I see some lights on, but then you take a look at the south side of the street, still no power. There is a method to how FP&L is trying to get electricity back to everyone, and they're asking their customers to be patient.
This is a very welcome sign on Southwest 95th Street, working street lights. Florida Power and Light crews are working as fast as they can to get people out of the dark. For Raul Orozco, Hurricane Katrina left him with a very costly reminder.
I came here and I saw that thing on top of my roof. The first thing that I thought was that thing that could explode.
Transformer and all came crashing down, but luckily for Orozco, his home had very little damage, considering. Across Dade and Broward counties, power crews pulled yet another 16-hour day yesterday. In North Miami Beach, they repaired a main feeder line, allowing more than 2,000 folks to once again turn on the lights. And those in this Southwest Miami-Dade neighborhood who are surviving on well water got creative yesterday.
Unfortunately, we got a swimming pool, so we wash in the swimming pool and we use the swimming pool water to use the toilets, to flush the toilet.
FP&L promised Raul Orozco they'd put in a temporary pole and remove this one, but for him, it can't happen soon enough.
Now here is the schedule for FP&L. They are hoping to have 90% of their customers up and running by tomorrow and the rest by Friday. They've got more than 14,000 workers spanned out, trying to get this done as quickly as possible, and also clearing the path. A lot of tree trimmers trying to clear the path for those crews so they can do this ASAP. That is the very latest in Kendall. Usila Ramirez, CBS 4 News this morning.
6:14 is the time right now. Just ahead, take a look once again. Live pictures coming out of New Orleans as Hurricane Katrina is expected to come ashore in the next few hours somewhere along the Gulf Coast.
Well, people who did manage to get out waited hours. The area's highways in gridlock.
And here at home in South Florida, the storm passes and the party starts. All the highlights at the VMAs just ahead.
A new coach, a new beginning. Dolphins 2005 is on CBS 4.
And the Dolphins have it.
The most games, the biggest names. Thomas, Chambers, Taylor. Plus the best team coverage from CBS 4 Sports. Barry, Martin, Bokamper. CBS 4, your home for Dolphins preseason football.
Touchdown Miami.
Be there Thursday night at 7:30 when the Dolphins face the Falcons. Dolphins 2005. Catch it on CBS 4, your Dolphins station.
This is the story of Ted and his three best friends, Lily and Marshall.
Will you marry me?
Barney.
Hey, so you know how I've always had a thing for half Asian girls? Lebanese girls are the new half Asians.
Yasmin.
It's a very pretty name.
It's Lebanese.
And the one girl.
Hi, have you met Ted?
Who will change everything.
How have I always described my perfect woman? She likes dogs?
I've got 5 dogs.
How I Met Your Mother. CBS Mondays this fall.
Urgent! Employee Pricing Plus. Save up to $82.83 on Grand Cherokee. Save up to $56.55 on Jeep Liberty. Employee Pricing Plus at Dade Jeep Chrysler. Southwest 158th Street and US 1.
Every home has a rhythm of its own. And now, finally, there's an air freshener that's in tune with it. Introducing new Airwick Freshmatic, an automatic spray you simply set at intervals of 9, 18, or 36 minutes. It delivers wonderful bursts of fragrance that keep your home smelling fresh for up to 2 months. New Airwick Freshmatic. Set it to the rhythm of your home.
I can't understand this stuff. Don't know what she's talking about. Who cares anyway?
Every child learns differently, and the traditional classroom can't always meet the needs of every student. Frustration can drive a child to give up. Atlantis Academy provides an individually guided education designed to help your child achieve success. And through the McKay Scholarship Program, financial assistance is available. Call Atlantis Academy to enroll your child today.
If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your T-Mobile cellular phone.
6:17 is the time right now. Certainly we do continue to track Hurricane Katrina.
Yes, we do. CBS 4 Chief Meteorologist Brian Norcross standing by live in weather control. Brian, what's the latest?
Okay, we're watching the storm now just about to come ashore to the southeast of New Orleans. Now, take a look at the radar sequence here as it comes to the north. Now, the things that we notice here, first of all, we notice that the eye has gotten quite ragged and is actually very open to the bottom. That's certainly better than the other developments. We also notice that the eye is moving fairly quickly. The storm moving north at about 15 miles an hour now, and fast movement is good because while it's moving to the north, the wind is coming in here from the southeast. So what that's doing is it's pushing water up into this crook here in the land, and that pushes the water up into the lake above New Orleans, and that is the critical problem. If that lake overflows into the city, then it is a catastrophic situation for the city of New Orleans. But a couple of things that are developing here. One is the hurricane is certainly weakening some as it's moving to the north. It's also moving quickly, relatively quickly, 15 as opposed to 10 last night, 15 miles an hour as opposed to 10. And secondly, and thirdly, it's moving on a south to north path, apparently moving to the east of downtown New Orleans, at least the east end of Lake Pontchartrain here at this point. Although I must say it is wobbling a little bit, and I'm not so sure it's not wobbling back to the west just a little bit. But in any case, let's take a close-up look at all this. David Bernard, who covered hurricanes in New Orleans for many years, is here with us now, and he's been looking very closely at the radar and the data coming out of there. And David, what are you finding?
Well, right now, Brian, we're going to go over to real-time Doppler 4, and we can see here is the center of the storm, just as you were showing. This is known as Southwest Pass, the mouth of the river. So the storm is technically now, yes, making a landfall, although there's very little land down here, and there's not going to be a lot of frictional effects to disrupt it too much as it continues north and passing just to the east of New Orleans. A little closer look, this is Grand Isle, where they've had some wind gusts now up over 110 miles per hour, I believe, in the last hour or so, and they're getting tremendous waves pushing in for the east. In fact, the buoy just reported 47-foot wave heights just to the east of the mouth of the Mississippi River. That's the leading edge, the northeast quadrant of the eye wall. That's the leading edge of the storm surge, and that's going to be critical over the next 3 to 6 hours, because that surge is heading for areas east and north of New Orleans. This is Lake Pontchartrain, which feeds into the Gulf of Mexico, and tides are rising rapidly in this area according to the National Weather Service and the buoy information that we have been looking at. I'm going to explain to you now why this is so significant. When we take a look at a topographical map of New Orleans, this is the city of New Orleans, this is Lake Pontchartrain. See how it opens up into Lake Bourne, which goes into the Gulf. This is the Mississippi River. South of the city, that's the Gulf of Mexico. It's a city surrounded by water. All of this area in eastern New Orleans and down the river here was inundated in 1965 from Hurricane Betsy. The solution? Basically, let's build a wall around the city. And this next map, the outline in red, is where the hurricane protection levee system is. So if you live within this red area, you have a buffer zone between yourself and the Gulf of Mexico. But a lot of people live outside this red area. That is going to see devastation. I am sure that we are going to see possibly 10 to 15 feet of water outside of this red area, especially east of the city and to the southeast as we go throughout the day and into tomorrow. The question is, will the water overtop these levees and spill over into the city of New Orleans? Why would that happen? I'm going to show you another graph here. And this is kind of a cross-section of what the city of New Orleans looks like. When we take a look at this, on one end of the city, again, Lake Pontchartrain, as I showed you. On the other end, the Mississippi River. But here's New Orleans. It's below sea level in most spots. That's why we have to have the levees. And if the storm surge is high enough over Lake Pontchartrain to overspill these levees, the water will get into the city and it will cause extensive flooding, obviously, and be trapped. And then it could take days, possibly weeks, to pump this water out. The track the storm is taking this morning is a little more optimistic and less likely that this is going to happen. But this is the first time, Brian, that we've seen a major hurricane come this close, basically a direct hit on New Orleans since 1965, and these levees have never been put to the test.
David, is there a monitoring system there that we can look at to see how high the water is in the lake, or the officials are watching to be able to see?
There are.
Yeah.
I just checked Lake Pontchartrain. There's several observing sites. Unfortunately, only the mid-lake site is observing. Right now, they're reporting tide levels approaching 3.5 feet above normal. So we're just starting to see that water build up. That's high, but that's not extremely dramatic. During Tropical Storm Isidore, we saw lake levels 5 and 6 feet above normal. But the buoy east of the mouth of the Mississippi River, again, reporting those 47-foot wave heights. The surge is just now starting to come into the mouth of the river and eventually spreading further up toward Lake Pontchartrain. So I imagine we'll see much more dramatic tide rises in the next few hours.
All right, David. All right, we'll continue to watch it here. Information just in from the aircraft. The pressure has gone up a little bit, but it's still 918 millibars, and that is a lower pressure than Hurricane Andrew when it came ashore. So normally when you have the pressure that high, the winds are incredible. So 918, so the weakening trend continues, but it's still a tremendously strong storm. All right, we also have a new tropical depression that formed yesterday, if you haven't heard. Pamela Wright is going to tell you about that, as well as the South Florida forecast.
Hey, good morning. Temperatures starting out this morning, you feel close to 90 degrees. Of course, you think it's even hotter than that if you've been living very long without power, for sure. We still find a draw from the south, far-reaching effects of Katrina, and essentially our weather is going to stay with this real tropical flow for the next couple of days. So here's Katrina now, and we're pulling up that south wind and drawing up some rain with that this morning. It's been pretty spotty, but the showers have actually been real heavy. So still a little wet on the roads, still navigating little trees here and there, still a lot of lights out. And in Broward County, where school is back in, just be so careful this morning. A few storms this afternoon, so that's going to fire up, and we expect to see those firing up each day this week. Hot, sizzling sunshine, more of the southwesterly flow, so that means temperatures really hot into the low and mid 90s, feeling easily into the 100s. So it's going to be tough to beat the heat, and thunderstorms will be our hope to beat the heat, but those will be pretty strong into the afternoon. Yes, Tropical Depression 13, it's north of the Leeward Islands, and we're not seeing a lot of organization with this. It's kind of having a tough time, but even what we could see develop, moving to the northwest now at 14, we expect it to stay on that path and then hopefully ride around an area of high pressure, taking a turn well before it would get into the Caribbean or affect anywhere near the U.S. So that's what we're thinking for that one right now. So not too much of a worry there. Maybe TD 14 could be. It's barely off the Cape Verde Islands, so it's thousands of miles out there, but that's what's going on right now in the tropics. Pretty breezy today at 92. Boaters, that strong south wind stays with you, and seas will still be up to 6 feet out in the Gulf Stream. Super steamy tonight, a few fast storms, and there you see your hot and sometimes stormy week ahead. Be really careful this morning. See you later.
All right, Pamela, thank you very much. It is 6:25 right now. Take a look at this. This is new video coming out of Biloxi, Mississippi. Katrina is already creating some heavy flooding there in the southern city. State officials are worried right now that some people may be in danger because residents didn't heed the warnings to flee this dangerous storm surge on the coast.
6:25 straight ahead. More live pictures from the Gulf Coast where Katrina, powerful punch now coming on shore.
But here at home in South Florida, the storm passes and the party begins. The highlights from last night's VMAs next.
CBS 4 News Traffic is sponsored by Palmetto Ford. Give us a try before you buy. 305-592 Ford.
We're closer than pages that stick in a book. We're closer than ripples that play in a brook.
Not a soul can bust this team in two. We stick together like glue. Life is gonna be a wee wow wee for my shadow and me. You dog.
Nature's own white wheat. All the nutrition of wheat bread with a look and taste of white.
County Line Lexus makes the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event even more golden. Right now, lease a fabulous new RX or ES 330 loaded with leather, CD, and sunroof for only $399 per month. $399 for only 36 months. Take advantage of huge Lexus Golden Opportunity savings, plus sign and drive on every new Lexus with absolutely no money down and no money out of pocket during the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event going on right now at County Line Lexus, home of the Lexus Way.
Alrighty, at 6:27 right now, the American Airlines Arena was rocking last night as the stars came out for the MTV Video Music Awards, and there were some surprises as well.
That, in case you don't know, that's MC Hammer, and he had everybody on their feet last night. A surprise performance. The show put South Florida in the spotlight for the second year in a row. Some of the industry's hottest stars share their thoughts on this year's white carpet.
It's a little moist out here. I guess the humidity, but it's good. It's Miami, so, you know, you gotta love it.
I think it's a lot of fun, and everybody kind of waits for what the shock is going to be and see what people are wearing.
Well, the big winner of the night was Green Day. The rock group took home 7 Moon Men.
Good for them. Yeah. It is 6:28 right now. Coming up for you at 6:30 this morning, we have more live pictures coming out of New Orleans right now. Our team coverage on Hurricane Katrina after this.
I needed to sell in a hurry. However, I was willing to take a little longer to save $20,000. I went with Buy Owner, and as it turned out, I did save the $20,000 and still sold my house in a week. I wouldn't consider selling my house any other way. Thanks, Buy Owner.
Thanks, Buy Owner. Do you need lighting or fans? Save this Thursday through Saturday during South Dade Lighting's in-house clearance sale. Inventories are overstocked, and many items will be sold at or below cost. South Dade Lighting, 130th Street and 87th Avenue.
Fishing is my passion since I was his age. My multivitamin, Centrum Silver.
Centrum Silver has a group of essential nutrients that emerging science suggests may help reduce the risk of heart disease. Put your heart into what you love with age-adjusted Centrum Silver.
We all wish for good health, but if you're not taking Caltrate, you may be coming up short.
The same Caltrate shown to help stop bone loss has also been shown in a clinical study to help reduce a major risk factor for colon cancer.
Caltrate, for bone and colon health.
Another perfect day. If only there was something a little different to brighten it up. Like this.
Introducing new Philly Swirls, triple berries and cream. Rich, creamy Philadelphia and the delicious taste of berries swirled together. Still 25% less saturated fat than butter.
Now this is heaven.
You'll also love Philly Swirls brown sugar and cinnamon spice. A new spin on a little taste of heaven.
My dad and I have been in the septic business for over 40 years. A septic system today can cost many, many thousands of dollars to replace. In my opinion, using Rid-X once a month makes costly repairs less likely.
Rid-X uses 100% natural bacteria and enzymes to break down hard-to-dissolve waste, even paper, to help keep your septic system operating efficiently and prevent backups between pumpings.
I've always recommended Rid-X, and I've never recommended anything else.
Rid-X, the #1 septic treatment brand.
When we decided to sell, I had a price in my head, and that's exactly what we got.
With Buy Owner, everything was as advertised.
The Buy Owner rep came over, and over coffee, we filled out the contract with the buyer.
That was very reassuring.
We saved nearly $20,000. Thanks, Buy Owner.
Thanks, Buy Owner.
Now, live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
And good morning to you, South Florida. Good to be with you as always this morning. I'm Danielle Knox.
I'm Angela Ray, and for Susan Barnett, here's a look at our top stories.
Just seconds ago, Katrina, a Category 4 storm, has made landfall.
Thousands of people trying to get out of the way, many forced to hunker down in the Superdome.
The CBS 4 weather team here this morning watching Katrina's every move as it comes ashore.
We have real-time Doppler 4 looking at the storm. We have full analysis and full coverage coming up here on CBS 4 News.
Here in South Florida, crews still out in force trying to restore power knocked out by Katrina. We have updated numbers for you.
We also want to let you know that although some schools are open, some are staying closed this Monday morning. It's all part of CBS 4's all-out team coverage. Good morning once again, everybody. I'm Danielle Knox.
Once again, I'm Angela Ray, and for Susan Barnett, as Katrina roars ashore on the Gulf Coast, South Florida is still recovering from its visit here. The storm forcing many South Florida schools to close this morning. Now, Miami-Dade County public and Catholic schools will remain closed today, but in Broward County, schools are open. All Catholic schools in Broward County will be open with a few exceptions due to building damage.
Right now, we want to give you a breakdown in terms of restoring power in South Florida. As of 5 o'clock this morning, more than 212,000 customers remained without electricity in Miami-Dade, and more than 100,000 are in the dark in Broward County. Overall, though, nearly 1.4 million customers have had their power restored since Katrina swept through our area. It is 6:32 right now. Let's get you the very latest on Hurricane Katrina.
And to do that, let's go to meteorologist Brian Norcross, because it has just made landfall in Louisiana. Brian.
The eye wall just coming ashore here. We can see it on real-time Doppler 4. Here you see the eye wall, the reds there from Grand Isle back around to the mouth of the Mississippi. This black line here, that's the Mississippi River going all the way down to the Delta there and then out into the Gulf of Mexico. There is the eye. Now you say, wait a minute, that doesn't look like a real well-developed eye of a major hurricane. Indeed, the hurricane is in a weakening phase, and it has been here all morning, but still it is a formidable hurricane. Now this reminds us, in looking at the radar, very much of what Hurricane Ivan looked like, although still, according to the National Hurricane Center, the winds are stronger than Ivan was when it came in. And now a tornado warning just issued for southeastern Louisiana in this area right up in here, in these red cells up here. Apparently there are some tornadoes, so they've had a tornado watch. So it's not just the winds of the hurricane, also embedded tornadoes they're dealing with. But clearly the eye is coming ashore. They're just to the east of Grand Isle, moving generally north. Here is downtown New Orleans right in there. So this looks like it's going to go just east of downtown New Orleans. Now, here are the numbers as of the 6 o'clock position update, but the rest of the information comes from the 5 o'clock advisory. 28.8, 89.6 are the coordinates. 150-mile-an-hour winds as of 5 o'clock. Now, the expectation is that those are probably down a little bit now since 5 because we've seen a little weakening on the radar, and the pressure, which was 915 then, is up to 918 now. Moving to the north at 15 miles an hour, 85 miles south-southeast of New Orleans. Now, here is the future track, and you see that most of the possibilities here keep the eye to the east of the city of New Orleans, which means, as we all know, if the eye is over in here and the winds are coming like this is the strongest side, so that puts the strongest winds in Mississippi. But also in this case, it brings the winds around from the north on Lake Pontchartrain there and puts some stress on that water there and potentially pushes it back toward the city. We'll have more on that question with David Bernard coming up here in about 10 minutes. But then the storm moves on up to the north and sweeps through the Ohio Valley. Travel is going to be disrupted all the way into the Mid-South today, up to as far as Nashville, and then up through the Midwest into Wednesday and Thursday, and eventually ending up in Canada. Now, Bianca Solorzano is live with us now in Biloxi. Bianca, what's going on there now?
Hi, good morning, Brian. Right here in Biloxi, I felt the effects of this storm just in the last couple of hours really pick up. We're about a quarter of a mile off of the beach, and there are whitecaps forming. It looks like the water is moving up a bit. You can see it's raining and it's windy, and we lost power about 30 minutes ago. So I know that the full blunt force of this storm is still a ways away, but already feeling the first effects. Brian?
Bianca, how far are you from the Gulf, and have people left the area right by the Gulf? So many people died there in 1969 in Hurricane Camille, right along the Gulf front there.
Right, a place that knows all too well how deadly and dangerous a hurricane can be. As I mentioned, we are just about a quarter of a mile off of the beach, so the water is back right there. As far as people leaving this area, as we came in yesterday from New Orleans, we had to leave our site there. We drove in, and it was really, really quiet. It looked like people had already headed out. Everything was shut down. The stores, the restaurants, the banks, the gas stations. I've run into a few other media people here, and of course police authorities, a few residents in this building from which we're working, but as I can see, it looks like people really got out of here.
Bianca, of course, since 1969, Biloxi is tremendously built up with casinos and gaming all along the waterfront there. I mean, is there an expectation in town that that's just going to be wiped out or might be wiped out by this thing?
Wiped out, it's hard to say. The casinos that you're referring to, I took a drive yesterday and looked at them. They're very, very big, but they were all shut. They all had signs outside that said, "We are closed due to Katrina." You might think that a place that's so big would allow people to go in and stay, but they have so much glass on them. They're right on the water, so they just shut those down. So we'll have to see as we go around and look at the damage, the effects after the storm moves through, and see how those casinos fared.
All right, but I can imagine there's just a lot of nervousness there based on the fact they have direct experience where they hit there. I mean, the older folks anyway from Camille, right? I know it's hard to hear. I know it's very hard to hear because I can hear the wind behind you. But I was just saying, because of Camille, no doubt there's a lot of nervousness there in Biloxi based on what happened there in 1969.
Oh, right, of course. Referring to 1969, one of the worst hurricanes, most powerful to ever hit the U.S., compared with Andrew, maybe the stronger a little bit than Andrew that wiped out southern Florida in 1992. People here, they still have memories of that, Camille, and there are memorials in this area, hundreds of people killed, so they know where they're living. They know that it's a very vulnerable area when it comes to a major storm making its way through the Gulf. Brian?
Well, we can see it coming in now. All right, Bianca, stay safe there. Yeah. We'll be back in touch with you. All right, Bianca Solorzano. That's in Biloxi. Now, that's just to the east of where the hurricane is forecast to come in. So there's New Orleans on the map. Biloxi is right over here. And, of course, as the storm moves to the north, now it's pushing water up this way. And so they are going to get tremendous water there. The National Hurricane Center is forecasting water in that area, the storm surge, over 20 feet in the eastern part of Mississippi. So as I said, they have that's a very, very vulnerable area to high water, and it'll be amazing if those casinos survive in a functioning sense, sitting right there on the waterfront in Biloxi. All right, we'll continue to monitor it here. Back with David Bernard and a close-up look and analysis of what's happening there in the New Orleans area here in just a few minutes. But now let's check in with Pamela Wright for the South Florida forecast.
Hey, Brian, we'll see what's going on this morning, and far-reaching effects of Katrina giving us a very tropical flow this morning. And if you have been without power, you know that. This morning, temperatures are in the low and mid-80s, but feeling more like the low and mid-90s as we are drawing up the clouds and the rain this morning up from the south. So most of Broward County, where people are actually getting on the road soon to go to school, we're not looking at any rain coming down, but Miami-Dade, especially real close to the coastline of Miami Beach and back into the upper Keys, finding a few showers this morning. So with power out for many, including lights on the roads, be careful this morning. It is going to stay pretty breezy, so there could be some things blowing around here and there, and we do expect thunderstorms firing up this afternoon. 92 your high temperature, but it already feels that hot this morning, so take it easy. And with kids out of school in Miami-Dade County, they'll be out and about running around too, so just be careful on the roads especially. We'll look ahead to the rest of your week and way out into the tropics and see what's going on. We do have TD 13. Might we have 14 very soon? I'll show you the area of suspicion. See you in a little bit.
All right, Pamela, thank you very much. The time right now is 6:40. And as we mentioned earlier, South Florida schools are split on whether to reopen today. For example, Miami-Dade public schools will be closed, but those in Broward will be open today. CBS 4's Nefertiti Jacquez is live in West Miami-Dade at a school that has basically been in cleanup mode most of the day today, but it's going to open right now.
That's right. Good morning, Danielle. And as we all know, schools also got a 1-2 punch from Katrina. If you take a look at the Charles Hadley sign there, that's actually no longer there as they attempt to clean up all of this because Miami-Dade, which is affected more severely by Hurricane Katrina, had been confident that they were going to reopen schools today. But by yesterday, 46 schools still didn't have any power. FP&L had told the district that there was no way it'd be restored by this morning, meaning the kids living in Miami-Dade County have at least another day of Katrina vacation, while the kids living in Broward County aren't so lucky. According to our news partners there at the Miami Herald, they'll attend school today no matter what. So in Broward, we had 9 schools that were left without power by 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. 7 will be powered by generators if FP&L hasn't restored their electricity by this morning, while 1 did actually open up and did have power. Harbordale Elementary in Fort Lauderdale, and one still is remaining. Northside Elementary, we're being told, still has no power at the time. And that's it for now. So again, Miami-Dade schools, again, I'm sorry, are closed, and Broward students will be attending school this morning. So that's the very latest here in Northwest Miami-Dade. Nefertiti Jacquez, CBS 4 News this morning.
It's now 6:42 live. Pictures now out of New Orleans. The Superdome is sheltering thousands of people who didn't get out in time.
Also, people who did get out in time waited for hours. The area's highways in gridlock.
And ahead on UPN 33 News this morning, the Video Music Awards take over the AAA. A look at who walked away with the most moon men.
We also want to remind you that CBS 4 is your official lottery station where you can watch the winning numbers being picked every night. Take a look, everybody. These are the winning numbers. Good luck.
Mary, what are you doing?
A little demonstration. Each empty glass represents 1 month you don't have to pay if you finance your new furniture at Rooms To Go.
Well, let's see. First payment, April 2007. That's a lot of empty glasses.
Uh-huh.
What are those?
Annoying checks that you will be writing every month if you finance your new furniture at other stores.
That's bad. Luckily, at Rooms To Go, no really means no.
No money down, no minimum purchase, no interest, no payments until April 2007.
Good demonstration.
Bet the competition doesn't think so.
No.
Experience the most anticipated thriller of the year. It's smart, provocative, and genuinely tense.
Get down!
Some very nasty things live under rocks, especially in foreign gardens.
The Constant Gardener, rated R, starts Wednesday.
Do you want to sell your house or property in 24 hours? Call 1-800-NO-AGENT. Do no repairs, pay no commissions.
No matter what the reason you need to sell now, we can get you your cash fast. Call now, 1-800-NO-AGENT.
The Rand Eye Institute is internationally renowned as a leader in laser vision correction and is one of the largest eye surgical centers in the U.S., led by Dr. William Rand, a corneal surgeon who has performed over 30,000 microsurgical procedures. The Rand Eye Institute uses state-of-the-art technology with a standard of safety and excellence, bringing an additional level of care. Call 877-RAND-EYE or go to randeye.com. Rand Eye, see the good things we do with your own eyes.
BrandSmart USA can help you get more laundry done in less time with a Duet washer and dryer from Whirlpool. A washer that can handle up to 16 pairs of jeans in a single load, and a dryer that dries faster than you ever thought possible, with optional pedestals for added storage, specially priced right now at BrandSmart USA, where an amazing selection of Whirlpool appliances meets legendary BrandSmart USA service. Get more laundry done in less time with Duet from BrandSmart USA. Of course, your favorite brand at the lowest price.
CBS 4 Weather is sponsored by the South Florida Water Management District, protectors of the Everglades.
6:45. Let's get you a check of traffic with Ty Kennedy. Ty?
Hey, Angela. Good morning. Traffic starting to pick up in some spots in Broward County. Just keep in mind that traffic lights are not working. Please treat those intersections as four-way stops. Let's take a look at the maps this morning. We'll look at the Palmetto, and you see north-southbound traffic. Southbound getting a bit heavy between Okeechobee on your approach to Coral Way. Northbound, really no delays there. And as we move into Broward County, earlier accident reported on 595 right around the Nob Hill area. Again, that may slow you down just a bit, but eastbound traffic picking up on your approach to US 1. Traffic lights again not working. Please treat each intersection you approach as a four-way stop. No flying through that intersection. That can be dangerous for you and anyone else that decides not to stop at that intersection. We'll keep you updated on your roadway conditions. I'm Ty Kennedy, CBS 4 News this morning.
Hurricane Katrina has made landfall in Louisiana. Let's check in with CBS 4's Chief Meteorologist Brian Norcross live in Weather Control for the latest. Brian.
Okay, we're watching this move in on the radar. Here it comes from the south. watching little wobbles. You see little wobbles in the eye, and believe it or not, that little bit of a wobble we see to the right and to the left will make a significant difference to individual areas here, but it looks like the eye is going to go to the east of downtown New Orleans. Now, the city obviously is not a point, just like Miami is not a point. It's a big spread out metropolitan area. We'll talk to David Bernard in just one second about what this means. But in any case, with the circulation around the storm like this, what's happening now is that the water is building up against the coast. It's building up against the Mississippi coast, and it's building up here from the east against the area to the east of New Orleans, and potentially building up in those bays to the north of New Orleans, those lakes, as they call them, Lake Pontchartrain and Lake Morne. So now let's go on over to David Bernard, who has a lot of experience with hurricanes in the New Orleans area and is with us here now, and he can explain exactly what this track to the east of New Orleans means. David?
Well, Brian, in the big picture, there's two pieces of good news. One, that it is going a little bit to the east, and also the fact that the hurricane has weakened just a little bit this morning. Some very intense squalls currently moving through New Orleans, and again, there is, as Brian was showing you, here's a close-up look on real-time Doppler 4. On the northwestern side of the eye wall is Grand Isle, the only inhabited barrier island in South Louisiana. That's the mouth of the Mississippi River. And so these winds right now have been estimated by Doppler radar to between 100 and 120 miles per hour. And the buoy out here over the Gulf is reporting 45 to 50-foot wave height. So that's the leading edge of the storm surge. So the tide levels are going to continue to rise to the east of New Orleans and feed into Lake Borgne here and eventually Lake Pontchartrain. The question becomes, will the hurricane protection levee system be strong enough to keep the water out of New Orleans this morning? And here's the problem that we have. Lake Pontchartrain, as I'll show you on this other map, is a big expanse of water north of the city. Lake Borgne to the east, which all opens up to the Gulf of Mexico. Here's the Mississippi River, and the Gulf is also down to the south. This is populated area of New Orleans. To keep the water out, in the 1960s, after Hurricane Betsy, they started building a hurricane protection levee. And this next map will show you the red line. It's literally like a fort around the city. It's built this flood wall to keep the hurricane floodwaters out, the tidal surges. This morning, the tide levels on Lake Pontchartrain will go up as those east-blowing winds force the water into the Gulf, into the lake. The lake will rise, and then the question will be, how high does the surge get? Will it overtop the levees and spill water into the city, which is shaped like a bowl? And because of that, we can't get the water out. In fact, when we get heavy rain down there in New Orleans, they've got to pump it out with a pumping system. But with a storm surge, it'll overtake that pumping system, and that will not be the case. And that would just lead to a big mess if this area is inundated by water. It could take days or weeks to get it out. I think, though, this morning, Brian, there may be some breaches in some areas, particularly vulnerable, or some of these levees that aren't completely done on the west bank of New Orleans, on the other side of the Mississippi River, and also certainly the areas outside of this red line where people do reside. There is going to be a very devastating storm surge, most likely. But it's too early to say what will happen in New Orleans because, as we discussed earlier, this is the first direct hit from a major hurricane in New Orleans since 1965. Basically, this is going to be a benchmark storm for them, just as Andrew was for South Florida in 1992. It had been so long since they'd seen a major direct hit down here, you know, as you recall, of course.
David, just to be clear, it's not just 3 or 4 people living outside of the flood protection levee, right? I mean, with the modern development there, a lot of subdivisions, and I mean, a lot of people live there, right?
Especially out in this area here, there's quite a number of people that live outside this red line, and especially here on the other side of the Mississippi River, down here in the upper part of what's called Plaquemines Parish. Tens of thousands of people live down there. It's kind of a booming bedroom community, and not really seen on this map is the area of Slidell, Louisiana, in St. Tammany Parish on the other side of this lake on the north end of it. And I'm afraid there's going to be some very high water in some of those communities as the hurricane moves north, and then the winds come from the west and will push the lake water that direction. That could cause quite a bit of problems. But this is downtown New Orleans right here, Brian, as you were pointing out. It looks like the eye wall is going to come very close to New Orleans east and here, and this part of the city is the lowest part of the city, 6 feet below sea level, 7 feet in some areas.
All right, well, we'll continue to watch, so we're still a few hours away from the maximum surge, maximum water getting up to the metropolitan New Orleans area and the coast there in Mississippi and Louisiana. So we'll continue to watch that. All right, let's check in with Pamela right now with the South Florida forecast and the situation with Tropical Depression 13, which formed yesterday, and maybe even a 14 that could form today or tomorrow. Here's Pamela.
Maybe 14, hot on its heels. So we'll take a look at that out in the tropics. Here we are this morning. Maybe you're still picking up as we got Katrina in its infancy. Still a lot of problems this morning. Power still out too many and rain coming through. So it's real tricky with still a lot of lights out. Everybody kind of trying to get back to normal. So many more cars out on the roads this morning, especially in Broward where schools will be in. So we'll be checking on that for you throughout this morning. But just don't be in any big rush. Everybody's going to understand if you're late today, except Brian wouldn't have, so I got here on time. All right, here's the true view. A few storms this afternoon. Count on it. Some could be on the heavy side. For tomorrow, sizzling sunshine. It is brutal, and you need to take in some friends that don't have power because it just really saps it out of you trying to sleep in this kind of heat. Afternoon storms likely even through the middle of the week. We'll just stay in a real tropical flow around here. All right. Tropics, what else are we watching? Well, TD13 did come into play yesterday, forming out in the open Atlantic. It's a good 800 miles to the east of the Lesser Antilles. We don't see any rapid development with it. Winds are at 30 miles per hour, being steered around a big area of high pressure, and it looks like that area will stay strong enough that this system will be steered up to the north, taking a ride into the early part of the weekend. There's Bermuda right there. So should be taking a turn well before it gets anywhere that we'd have to be too concerned. So we'll continue to watch that. Here it is, 800 miles away from the Lesser Antilles, just barely off the coast of the Cape Verde Islands. And further to the south, we do see this system, pretty healthy tropical wave, and that's the one we may need to pay more attention to, as that could be TD14, as Brian was saying, by later today. Pretty breezy, extremely hot. Boaters, things are going to stay rough with these strong south winds at 15 to 20. Very muggy tonight with a few fast storms, and we're counting on afternoon storms and some of them to be heavy right through the end of the week. All right, have a safe Monday morning, and I'll see you again in a little while.
Sounds good, Pamela. Thank you very much. 6:54 is the time right now. Coming up next, we're going to take a quick look at some of your top stories before you head out the door this morning. And we're also going to look at some live pictures coming out of New Orleans right now. The Superdome is sheltering thousands of people that didn't get out of the area in time.
And ahead on UPN 33 News this morning, more live coverage from the Gulf Coast as Katrina makes landfall.
Plus, we also want to take a look at last night's VMAs at the American Airlines Arena. All that and more coming up at 7 on UPN 33 News this morning. CBS 4 News this morning. We'll be right back.
Can't touch this.
CBS 4 News Traffic is sponsored by Palmetto Ford. Give us a try before you buy. 305-592 Ford.
You gotta love this place. Ashley Furniture Home Store, the fastest growing furniture retailer in America, is now open in 4 great locations. Yo, we're gonna love this place. Now you'll be able to purchase the #1 selling home furniture brand in America at true Ashley Direct prices. Plus, during our grand opening, you'll enjoy no interest until 2007 and next day delivery. This is one grand opening you can't afford to miss. Ashley Furniture Home Store. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. You're gonna love this place.
The all-new all-wheel drive Saab 97X. Distinctively designed, independently inspired.
Before you leave on your vacation this summer, take a look at your auto insurance. Are you certain that you're getting the best price? You should know Mercury Insurance consistently beats its competitors in head-to-head rate comparisons. Florida drivers can save over $500 a year. So whatever road you take this summer, take Mercury along.
Mercury Insurance, going the extra mile for you. For a fast, free quote, call 888-4-MERCURY.
Well, the boys are in high school this year, so we got this great 2-for-1 deal from Sprint. So now we can call and text each other, you know, just check in. It's not that I don't trust them, it's just that... It's all good.
And it's going to get better.
Now, buy one of our most popular Sprint PCS Vision picture phones for $49.99 and get one free. Sprint PCS, now that's better.
Urgent!
Employee pricing plus. Save up to $67.38 on Pacifica. Save up to $71.31 on Town and Country. Employee pricing plus at Day Jeep Chrysler. Southwest 158th Street and US 1.
6:56 is the time right now. You know, it's really interesting when you can get up close and personal to something as catastrophic as a Category 4 storm. And we do have Brian Andrews, who is in New Orleans. I know that you're staying near the Superdome, right, Brian?
Yeah, we're about 10 blocks away. We're at the downtown Sheraton with about 400 other folks.
Brian,
who
are you with
stranded.
us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, we're about 10 blocks away from the Superdome.
Okay.
We're at the hotel, the Sheraton, with about 400 other people who couldn't get out of town and didn't want to sleep on the concrete floor of the Superdome and instead wanted to do the carpet of the ballroom here. So that's where we're at.
You know, one of the interesting things about that is in your last report with us, you said that you had a chance to walk outside for just a quick second, and you described what you saw and said that you'd never seen anything like that. Tell us about that.
I tell you, you know, it's really weird because living in South Florida, we see all kinds of nasty storms.
Right.
But the way that the wind was whipping around the rain, it was like being in a blizzard. You could barely keep your eyes open, and it was howling, and it's flying down Canal Street in 50 different directions. It's eased up right now, so I think what we had when I was last reporting to you was one of those strong bands. But just to watch. What we did is we found a little alcove on the side of the entry to the motor lobby here of the hotel, which would kind of block us from the wind, and we stood there to try to get some videotape.
Brian,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to do this. We're going to have to join you over on UPN 33. They're telling us about 10 seconds left in show. Hold that thought. We'll get with you in just a couple of seconds on UPN 33 News this morning. That's going to do it right now for CBS 4.
We'll see you over there.
Take care, everybody.
It's the ultimate sofa sale, when every single sofa without exception will be on sale at Rooms to Go. Save on leather sofas, motion sofas, sleeper sofas, and fabric sofas. Every sofa in every Rooms to Go showroom will be reduced to shocking low prices. It's an incredible opportunity, the ultimate sofa sale at Rooms to Go. Every sofa is on sale now through Tuesday.
County Line Lexus makes the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales event even more golden. Right now, lease a luxurious new LS430 loaded with leather, CD, and sunroof for only $499 per month. $499 for only 36 months. Take advantage of huge Lexus Golden Opportunity savings, plus sign and drive on every new Lexus with absolutely no money down and no money out of pocket during the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales event going on right now at County Line Lexus, home of the Lexus Way.
It's one of the world's largest planes.
Mommy, did you make that plane?
Yeah, it's got 2 stories. And on its maiden voyage,
When you wake up, we'll be in New York. Can't find my daughter.
someone will vanish
Does anybody remember seeing the girl?
No, sir. You know she's on this plane.
Why didn't anybody see her?
into thin air.
We don't have any record of your daughter ever having been on board. We're gonna find my daughter.
Jodie Foster.
We're doing it!
Flight Plan. Rated PG-13.
Watch the Fantasy 5 drawing weeknights on CBS 4 News at 11, your lottery station.
Good morning, I'm Harry Smith. Hurricane Katrina, the devastating storm that has sent the people of New Orleans fleeing for higher ground, has begun to roar ashore. A Category 4 hurricane with 150-mile-an-hour winds, Katrina could be the most powerful to make landfall in the United States in 13 years. We'll have a series of live reports from the storm.
I'm Julie Chen. President Bush has already declared states of emergencies in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, where coastal towns have emptied. We'll talk to the director of the Federal Emergency Management Agency about what the government is doing to help.
And I'm Hannah Storm. The effects of the storm are expected to push oil prices even higher as oil platforms and refineries in the area are shut down and face potential damage. We'll tell you what it could mean for prices at the pump early this Monday morning, August 29th, 2005.
From CBS News, Harry Smith, Hannah Storm, Julie Chen, Renee Seiler, and Dave Price with the weather bring you The Early Show.
Starting up a brand new day.
Live from...
We're taking a look at a picture alive this morning as the rain comes pouring down in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's a Category 4 hurricane, Katrina, roaring ashore. It just made landfall about 30 miles south of New Orleans a little while ago. This is a big, big storm. It's going to have some devastating effects. And you're looking at a live picture right now as the rain just comes. It's a huge, huge and powerful, energy-packed storm. And we're going to be keeping a very close eye on it this morning. Good morning as we welcome you to the early show. Renee is off this morning.
This is what people have feared and calling a once-in-a-lifetime event. And here are the facts about Katrina. As Harry just said, Katrina is absolutely a monster storm capable of inflicting devastating damage to the area on the Gulf Coast. Just a short time ago, Katrina made landfall east of Grand Isle, Louisiana as a Category 4 storm, downgraded from Category 5, still very, very dangerous. The eye is about 85 miles south-southeast of New Orleans, and certainly that shift in the last few hours to the east, they are hoping there could spare the city the brunt of the storm, but certainly not out of danger, Julie.
That's right. Besides packing powerful sustained winds of 150 miles per hour, Katrina threatens a devastating storm surge that could swamp the city. For the most part, New Orleans has been evacuated. Tens of thousands who couldn't flee are holed up in shelters praying for the best.
And our Dave Price is at the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans, where lots of people are riding out the storm. Dave, what is the situation there right now?
Well, Harry, the situation right now is the winds have really picked up. We have gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour at this point, and over the next 2 to 3 hours, things should get worse. The Superdome was the last refuge for people who couldn't get out, didn't have a means to get out, or just didn't think of it until it was too late. And now 10,000 people are hunkering down here. Over the last hour or two, power has been on and off. The Superdome has gone to its emergency generators for periods of time with air conditioning off. And the big issue here, as we're going to hear all morning, is water. We are at or below sea level throughout most of this city, and in the event that water comes in, it can be near impossible to get it out in the short term, and that means we could be talking about days, weeks, or months before life is back to normal in this city. Again, the worst is yet to come over the next several hours, but at this point, we have about 100,000 people scattered throughout shelters and hundreds of thousands of people who have turned out the lights and left New Orleans. Harry, we'll send it back to you and we'll be with you all morning.
All right, thanks very much, Dave. And of course, we have reporters throughout the storm zone down there. Lee Cowan is also at the Superdome and has more on what's going on in New Orleans this morning. Lee, what can you tell us?
Well, Harry, it's a bit of a puzzler, really, because the eye of the storm is onshore now. It's only about 80 or 90 miles away from where we are here in downtown New Orleans, and yet, all things considered, given the fact that this is a Category 4 storm, a strong Category 4 storm, it's relatively quiet. Now, we say that this being very, very early, and still this is a very, very strong storm, but we were out driving around in the French Quarter about an hour ago, and so far, the city seems to be holding up pretty well. There's not a lot of flooding, there's not a lot of damage, but again, it's still very early. Take a look.
By the early morning hours, downtown New Orleans was a wet and windy ghost town. Power outages dot the city, and there's virtually no one on the streets. Katrina is creeping inland. The city was struggling to swallow massive amounts of rainwater. Storm drains were doing their best, but the real fear was out at the city's levees, where the best barrier against massive flooding so far appeared to be holding. The reason? New Orleans is surrounded by water. The massive Lake Pontchartrain borders on one side, the mighty Mississippi on the other. That makes New Orleans an island with virtually no high ground. Downtown actually sits in a basin, the brim of which are the levees on either side. With the storm pushing the waters of Lake Pontchartrain to the south, the metropolitan crater is likely to fill up like a punch bowl with no place for the water to drain. Emergency officials warn, though, that just because the city isn't flooding yet, doesn't mean the water won't come later, when residents least expect it.
Now, Harry, there are huge pumps all around the city that are designed to help keep up with this kind of amount of rain. Now, they so far seem to be keeping up, but if that water does start coming over the levee, the worry is that those pumps would then be underwater, and the only way to get that water out of the city would be to have to wait, break holes in the levees, open the levees back up, and let that water drain out. But that could take anywhere between 10 days and 2 weeks before that water is completely out of the city. But again, so far, and it's early, it looks like so far everything's holding up.
That would have been an almost unthinkable scenario there. Lee Cowan, thank you so much in New Orleans. Many of those who fled New Orleans headed to higher ground in the state capital of Baton Rouge. CBS News correspondent Mark Strassman is live in Baton Rouge with the latest there. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Harry. Even at midnight last night, there were people still
pouring into Baton Rouge from New Orleans, some of them panicked by Katrina's approach. And this sort of weather, of course, is just a mild taste of what's to come. Katrina will pack a nasty punch. The question is whether it will be a knockout punch. With Katrina's worst on its way, the last wave of people fled New Orleans overnight, thousands of them looking for any place safe. In the city itself, deserted streets are just one more sign of the worry. This is the hurricane New Orleans has feared for decades. Hotels are packed for hundreds of miles, many people squeezed into shelters, wondering what they will have to go home to.
Remember that everybody is in tight quarters. Let's everybody be nice and friendly.
Nothing seems nice and friendly about Katrina. So for the first time in its history, New Orleans is under a mandatory evacuation order.
This is a once in probably a lifetime event. The city of New Orleans has never seen a hurricane of this strength to hit it almost directly.
Gas stations were jammed with panicky people desperate to get out.
Have wheels will travel. So I got my car tanked up, my bike, and if all else fails, I got my bicycle.
We've got oil, we've got water, we've got food. Pray for us. Pray for all of New Orleans.
There's an ominous sense here that this storm is different. Katrina looks like the big one. Katrina is so big, so powerful, that same high level of anxiety is being felt all along the northern coast of the Gulf of Mexico, from Louisiana to the Alabama-Florida line. This is nail-biting time for millions of people. Harry?
All right, Mark Strassman live in Baton Rouge this morning. Thanks very much. Now let's check in with Brian Norcross, CBS News hurricane analyst from our Miami station, WFOR. Brian, good morning.
And good morning, Harry. We've been watching closely here. The radar out of Louisiana, there's the eye of the storm there, just coming ashore. The worst of it is still well south of New Orleans, but offshore here, wave heights of 48 feet were measured, and that's a sign of the surge is pushing north. It's just not up there yet to the coast and into the New Orleans area. Now, after Katrina comes ashore, it's going to spread up the eastern part of the country. Take a look at this map, where you can see the path here over the next few days as Katrina moves up for leaving the Louisiana area, spreading up on across the Midwest. And it's going to, there you see it, 4 to 7 foot flooding downpours are possible. Could have downed trees and destroyed buildings down to the south in the Mississippi area especially. That's a quick look at your national weather. Now, here's what's going on in your area.
Hi there, Pamela Wright here this morning. Far-reaching effects of Katrina keeping us very tropical and breezy today, so we do expect storms coming through, especially this afternoon with our highs close to 92, of course, once again feeling like the low 100s out there. South winds for boaters staying strong, 15 to 20 knots. Seas will go down a bit as the afternoon goes on, and still a moderate chop out on the bay waters. We'll look ahead, count on some afternoon storms around, steam heat in the low 90s.
High number of oil platforms and refineries in the storm's path. Hurricane Katrina is having an impact on already sky-high crude oil prices. This morning, prices rose to a record high of $70.80 a barrel. CBS News correspondent Susan McGinnis reports.
Good morning. That's right. Oil has topped $70 a barrel this morning overseas, and that's no small issue considering crude closed on Friday at $66.13 a barrel in New York. Investors and markets worldwide are bracing for the impact of Hurricane Katrina as she makes her way into the heart of U.S. oil operations. About 1 million barrels a day in production has been shut down. Oil companies have been evacuating thousands of workers. Chevron, Texaco, Royal Dutch Shell, BP, and ExxonMobil all have brought their workers ashore. And the trickle down. Katrina will hit drivers right in the pocketbook. Analysts say brace for more pain at the pump as more refineries are shut down by floods and power outages in Katrina's wake. That is the latest from the CBS News Money Watch desk. I'm Susan McGinnis.
Elsewhere, Iraq's proposed constitution is now in the hands of Parliament, even though one of Iraq's key ethnic groups doesn't want it. CBS News correspondent Lara Logan is live in Baghdad with the very latest. Lara, good morning.
Good morning, Julie. Well, the battle lines on Iraq's draft constitution have been drawn, and Iraq is moving forward, for better or worse, towards the referendum on October 15th. It was back to business for the Iraqi parliament this morning. An amended draft of the constitution was formally adopted yesterday and soundly rejected by Sunni leaders. The U.S. ambassador was disappointed with the outcome.
I was hoping that the reaction would be more positive from them.
The Iraqi government is pushing ahead regardless, with their advertising campaign already in full swing as copies of the Constitution hit the streets of the capital. But the cost of a political process that's not supported by the Sunnis was evident as the bodies of dead civilians continued to pile up. A TV crew from Reuters news agency never made it to the clashes they were sent to cover. Iraqi police at the scene in Baghdad said American soldiers fired the fatal rounds that killed Salman Walid Khaled and wounded his cameraman Haider Kadem. 2 more civilians were killed when a suicide bomber targeted a U.S. convoy north of the capital this morning. People here are now wondering which is worse, if the Sunnis defeat the Constitution in the referendum and the country has to start all over again, or ending up with a constitution that the Sunnis will never accept, which must surely bring even more violence. Julie?
Lara Logan in Baghdad. Thanks, Lara. And now here's Hannah.
Thanks, Julie. Along with the mandatory evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people from New Orleans, officials in Louisiana have done just about everything possible to get people out of Hurricane Katrina's way. Kathleen Babineau-Blanco is Louisiana's governor. Good morning, Governor. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning.
I know it's quite busy where you are. Just quickly, are you satisfied with the amount of people that have been evacuated? And what are your concerns about those hundreds of thousands who are still in New Orleans and the surrounding areas?
Well, we would have liked to have evacuated 100% of our people, but many people are still out there, and we are worried about them. I hope that they've all taken safe haven. It's very important. We don't want to lose any lives.
Could you address the concerns of flooding in the New Orleans area, and particularly this possibility that it might become, as one expert put it, a toxic cesspool, a lot of pollution concerns?
Well, flooding, of course, is our main concern. That would create an untenable situation in the city of New Orleans if the levees were to be breached. That would be our biggest problem. We would just deal with that situation. We will evaluate it as soon as this hurricane fury has blown over, and we'll deal with what we have.
With the president in advance of the storm hitting, declaring a state of emergency, how has that specifically helped your efforts?
Well, Hannah, it allowed FEMA to come in here early. We've set the stage for a lot of help, for evacuation help. And the federal government is standing by. The president called. He was very supportive of our efforts. He was encouraging evacuation. He was very concerned. We appreciate his concern.
And what do you have available specifically in terms of troops and supplies as soon as this hurricane rolls through to go in and assess and take care of the damage?
We've got National Guard members standing by. We've got airplanes ready to go in and do early assessments. As soon as the back of the storm moves further inland, we'll be knowing in a few hours what we're dealing with. I know the low-lying areas are going to suffer the brunt of it, the early brunt of it, and we'll do search and rescue if necessary.
So much dread and anticipation accompanying this storm. What can you say to the folks of Louisiana this morning?
Well, our people are sturdy people, strong people. We've dealt with storms before. We know we're going to lose some property. There will be extensive damage, but we will rebuild. We have confidence in ourselves. We know that we can restore property. We can't restore lives.
We can only hope the damage isn't as bad as expected. Governor Kathleen Babineau-Blanco, thank you so much, and good luck to you today.
Thank you.
Now to Julie and Harry.
All right, thanks, Hannah. Up next, we'll find out what's being done to get ready for the devastation that's sure to follow Katrina.
I'm going to talk to FEMA Director Mike Brown about the government's disaster response. You're watching The Early Show on CBS.
Introducing the new steak and cheddar breakfast sandwich from Dunkin' Donuts.
Good morning, class. My name is Mr. Sweeney, and I'll be your substitute teacher.
Made with scrambled egg, delicious new steak, and real cheddar cheese. It's great when you need a little something extra. Dunkin' Donuts. Bring yourself back. Stop by Dunkin' Donuts and enjoy a cup of the best coffee in America with your breakfast sandwich today.
Innovative, new studies, medical breakthroughs, health news you can use only on Health Watch every day on The Early Show.
So, Doc, let's see what you can do for this poor seasonal allergy sufferer.
You're really miserable.
I've tried these. They only last about 6 hours. And all of these make me drowsy.
I think this will help.
Allegra 180, long-lasting and non-drowsy.
Not one of these allergy medicines can give you long-lasting seasonal allergy relief without the risk of drowsiness, but Allegra 180 can.
Allegra lasts the whole day and night.
For people 12 and over, side effects alone may include headache, cold, or backache.
I'll take Allegra any day.
Long-lasting Allegra. The relief goes on.
It's one of the world's largest planes.
Mommy, did you make that plane?
Yeah, it's got 2 stories.
And on its maiden voyage,
When you wake up, we'll be in New York. Can't find my daughter.
someone will vanish
Does anybody remember seeing the girl?
No, sir.
You know she's on this plane.
Why didn't anybody see her?
into thin air.
We don't have any record of your daughter ever having been on board.
What? We're gonna find my daughter.
Jodie Foster.
We're Julia!
Flight Plan. Rated PG-13.
Where did I get this glow? In Bermuda? Or from a wild fling? With a moisturizer. New Jergens Natural Glow. Moisturize daily to keep your healthy summer glow all year long. Jergens glowing skin is in.
Introducing the new Pedigree Slide Right Zipper Bag. Keeps every bite as fresh as the first.
An orange is an orange, right? Not so. Tropicana Pure Premium Hand Selects, only the sweetest and ripest, giving you a fresh squeezed taste that's one of a kind.
Do you want some dessert? Not with my metabolism. Yeah, in your 30s, your metabolism slows. What can you do? You know what I do? I eat right, exercise, and I switch to One-A-Day Weight Smart. It's a complete multivitamin with EGCG to help enhance metabolism. Every little bit helps. One-A-Day Weight Smart.
Welcome back to the CBS Early Show. I'm Julie Chen.
And I'm Hannah Storm. Hurricane Katrina is unleashing her fury already this morning on the Gulf Coast states. One forecaster is predicting that New Orleans, which could take the biggest beating of all, may never be the same.
Harry has more on the storm.
Even before Hurricane Katrina hit, President Bush declared states of emergency in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, clearing the way for a massive government relief effort. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is preparing for the worst. FEMA Director Mike Brown is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Harry.
As you were watching this evacuation yesterday out of New Orleans, a mandatory evacuation, tens of thousands of people pouring in the Superdome, what were you thinking?
Well, one, that's what I'd like to see. I mean, I'm very happy for the mandatory evacuations because that, in the end, saved lives. Even if that evacuation weren't necessary or people start second-guessing it, let me tell you right now, it was exactly the right thing for the mayor and the governor to do. And as those people started moving into shelters, of course, I go into disaster mode, and I know that I need medical teams and rescue teams, and I need all the teams that supply all the commodities, the meals ready to eat, the ice, the water, the cots. So I started jamming up those supply lands as fast and as downward as I could to be ready to respond to anything these governors might need.
I'll tell you what, this is we had such a horrible hurricane season last year. There are places along the Gulf Coast that are still rebuilding from a year ago. We're in the middle of a record year right now. How do you even begin to prepare for this, let alone long-term plan for the continuation of this?
Well, you've just described our lives right now at FEMA. We're still in Florida doing long-term recovery efforts. We're still in Alabama. We're now in Mississippi and Louisiana preparing for response activities. And don't let us forget that we still have wildfires going out west. So this is a very active disaster season for FEMA. But I got to tell you, the men and women of this organization are ready to respond anywhere and everywhere. As President Bush watched the noon meeting yesterday to outline the logistics and everything that we were doing, he made the note that he was very impressed with everything that we were doing. We're ready to respond in any way that these governors might need.
Yeah.
We're actually prepared for the worst, but hoping for the best.
How deep are your pockets?
Well, you know, I don't want to say our pockets are limitless, but I know that President Bush and Congress support FEMA in a very great way. And our #1 priority is to help victims, to save their lives, protect property. So whatever resources we need, there's no question in my mind that the President and Congress will get those to us.
One of the concerns with this latest storm in the Gulf is oil and gas refining. Some of these gigantic refineries have already shut down as this storm approaches. Do you know anything about how long this might be prolonged and what kind of a dramatic effect? I mean, we're seeing the price of oil spike over $70 in speculation already this morning.
Well, I know that speculation is already occurring, and that is unfortunate. The timeline of that depends totally upon the storm. You know, again, it's Mother Nature. It depends on how strong her winds are, which direction she goes, and most importantly, it depends upon that storm surge. I mean, that's why we're preparing for what could potentially be a very strong environmental disaster. As those floodwaters bring in all of that kind of waste, we have to be prepared to deal with that, too.
Well, Mike Brown, you got your work cut out for you today. Good luck today, sir.
Thank you, Harry.
You bet.
All right, thanks a lot, Harry. Coming up, we'll track Hurricane Katrina's devastating force and its impact on the Gulf Coast. Plus, Dave Price with live updates from the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans. But first, these messages and your local news.
This portion of the early show sponsored by Denny's. We're cooking now.
Denny's new sausage sampler has the sizzling sausage you love, and it already comes with seconds. Now get twice the sausage, 2 savory patties and 2 links, plus eggs and pancakes. One of 3 big and bountiful breakfasts for just $4.99. Denny's, we're cooking now.
When my allergies get really bad, I feel like I'm in a fog. Now I'm Claritin Clear. Claritin gives me non-drowsy relief from my worst symptoms for 24 hours. It's the only one proven to make you alert and focused. Got it. Claritin. Live Claritin Clear.
If you had a ghost in your apartment, you'd want her to be helpful.
Go away, you don't exist.
Friendly.
I just want you out of my house.
You get out!
Understanding.
I'm trying to help you face the fact that you are...
I'm not dead.
You'd want her to be Reese Witherspoon.
Precious.
Reese Witherspoon. Mark Ruffalo. John Heder.
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Scotch.
Don't you dare.
From the director of Freaky Friday. Just Like Heaven. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, September 16th.
Every once in a while, I like to mix it up. Throw in a little twist. Be a little more playful. That's why I love the new Pantene Curls collection. Curls are hot. Every hairstyle says something different. What do my curls say to me? They go boing. There's something for every look you can imagine. I don't know if it's the Pro-Vitamin formula or what. I can go curly, I can go wavy, I can kind of do it all. The new Pantene Curls collection. I love it.
Morning, Cam.
Morning, Bob. Good morning, Scott Tissue.
Can everyone hear me?
Just barely. Great. Let's get started.
Surprise! You guys.
Scott Tissue's gone soft. With new Scott Extra Soft, it's softer and has as many sheets as 3 rolls of the competition.
This up here and then...
Wow! This is really soft. You guys...
New guy.
New Scott Extra Soft Tissue. Common sense on a roll.
Tylenol Rapid Release Gels. Gel caps with specially designed holes to release powerful medicine even faster than before.
You're getting this potty training thing down with your Pampers Feel and Learn. It's the only training pant with a suspended wet sensation liner to give you a better signal of wetness than the other leading brand. You go, girl.
This is a dishwasher. This is not. This is Cascade Complete. It's 30% better at breaking down tough food than whatever you're using, because pre-washing is our job, not yours. Cascade Complete. Now that's clean.
On DVD, unravel the clues and own the film critics call Indiana Jones and James Bond rolled into one.
I don't think we can fix this thing.
Sahara. On DVD and UMD, August 30th. Rated PG-13.
Now, live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
And good morning, South Florida. Good to be with you as always this morning. I'm Danielle Knox. I'm Angela Ray in for Susan Barnett. We have a very busy day ahead of us.
Here's a look now at where we stand in terms of restoring power in South Florida. As of early this morning, more than 200,000 customers remain without electricity in Miami-Dade, and more than 100,000 are in the dark in Broward. Over 1 million customers, though, have had their power restored since Katrina swept through our area. And as Katrina roars ashore on the Gulf Coast right now, South Florida is still recovering from its visit here. The storm forcing many of South Florida's schools to close this morning. Miami-Dade County public and Catholic schools will be closed today, but in Broward, the schools are open. All Catholic schools in Broward County will be open as well, with just a few exceptions due to building damage. Parents are encouraged to contact individual schools. In Northwest Miami-Dade, water and ice will be given out today from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It will take place in the Carroll City Park Complex parking lot, 3201 Northwest 185th Street. And now our chief meteorologist, Brian Norcross, has the very latest on the hurricane as it makes landfall along the Gulf Coast.
All right, ladies, thanks very much. Let's take a look at what's going on. First of all, on real-time radar, we see a few showers offshore. This is part of a stream that's kind of moving in, and that's what we're going to see. Most spots at any one time aren't going to see any rain at all, but other spots are indeed going to have passing showers, and that's going to be just about it. Now, let me bring you up to date on what's going on with the hurricane. As of the 7 o'clock update, 29.1, 89.6, winds at 145 at that time. Since then, another update, winds down to 140 miles an hour. But still, that's on the east side of the storm, still a formidable Category 4 hurricane that has now come ashore. It came ashore at 7:10, moving north at 15. There's the pressure, 918 millibars, 70 miles from New Orleans, so it is going to happen in just a few hours there. But it does look like that the track is likely to the east of downtown New Orleans and then spreading up all the way through the Midwest and on up into the Northeast, and that will continue to be a problem, especially in the Mid-South and the Deep South here today and tomorrow. Now, here's the satellite, or the radar sequence over top of the satellite as the eye moves in. There you can clearly see the eye. There's the eye wall right there. And I think it's clear that this is going to go here to the east of downtown New Orleans, so it's going to be a tremendous problem, Mississippi and the eastern parts of Louisiana. All right, let's check on our forecast then for South Florida. Steamy and some storms here and there. Pretty breezy today and a steamy high of 92. For the boaters today, winds out of the south 15 to 20 knots, and the seas will slowly subside here. For tonight, muggy with some fast-moving storms, just one or two, and looking ahead through the week, actually just a few storms around. All right, we'll see you later on.
Hey, good morning, South Florida. Let's start off taking a look at 595 and seeing how things are shaping up for you there. If you're heading eastbound, lots of people going to work this morning. You're going to find it a bit slow uphill on your approach down towards the US 1 area. Earlier accident on 95 southbound right around Cypress Creek, slowing traffic down quite a bit in that area. Moving into Miami-Dade County on the Don Shula northbound, right where it meets the Palmetto, there's an earlier car fire that delayed traffic quite a bit in that area. You also have another accident popping up on the Don Shula at Kendall. And on the I this morning at Ives Dairy, you'll find a crash, one reported at 103rd, so if that's a route you take, give yourself extra time. This report brought to you by ExxonMobil. Next complete update in 25 minutes. Until then, have a great Monday. See you soon.
County Line Lexus makes the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event even more golden. Right now, lease a fabulous new RX or ES 330 loaded with leather, CD, and sunroof for only $399 per month. $399 for only 36 months. Take advantage of huge Lexus Golden Opportunity savings, plus sign and drive on every new Lexus with absolutely no money down and no money out of pocket during the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event going on right now at County Line Lexus, home of the Lexus Way.
Since 1954, Miami-Dade County has been the home of the Whopper. But when Burger King needed a new world headquarters, the question was simple. Here or to go? With the help of the Beacon Council, they had it their way and decided to invest $68 million and keep more than 600 jobs right here. Make it Miami, Miami-Dade County. Brought to you by the Beacon Council and CBS 4 in partnership to strengthen the economy of Miami-Dade County.
After Katrina. For the latest on the cleanup, keep it on CBS 4 News.
For years, forecasters have warned that a big storm could have catastrophic consequences for New Orleans. This morning, that nightmare scenario will be put to the test by Hurricane Katrina, a monster storm that has already passed one of Louisiana's barrier islands and is zeroing in on the city. Straight ahead, we'll have live reports from Katrina's strike zone. Welcome back to the early show.
Right now, the storm is still a formidable Category 4. That means 145-mile-per-hour winds. According to the National Weather Service, even well-built structures will have some serious damage when the storm clears. We're keeping an eye.
Yep, there's already power outages in many areas, and we want to check in now with Dave Price, who's standing by in New Orleans just outside the Superdome. Good morning, Dave.
New Orleans is just beginning to get its first taste of the intensity of this storm as it continues to roll in this direction. The winds have picked up, the rain has as well, and the area right around the Superdome is now blacked out. The Superdome operating on emergency generators, the air conditioning now out, and the lights in the Superdome where 10,000 people have taken refuge is gone as well. Over the next several hours, the storm should continue to intensify, and the big concern here is the water, not only the wind. Back to you in New York.
All right, that's Dave Price in New Orleans. Thanks a lot, Dave. As now we go to CBS News correspondent Mark Strassman, standing by on higher ground northwest of New Orleans in Baton Rouge. Mark?
Good morning again, Hannah. There are no hotel rooms here in Baton Rouge. In fact, you could drive 100 miles up the road and be lucky to find a hotel room, because this is a storm that people in New Orleans in particular took seriously, and they all essentially fled over the last 24 hours. Even at midnight last night, they were still bumper to bumper on I-10, the road that leads from New Orleans here to Baton Rouge. This is a storm truly that has caught New Orleans' attention. Of course, over the years, storms have come and gone, and New Orleans has been lucky to dodge these storms for the most part. But they recognize, that is, these folks in New Orleans, they can sort of recognize the real deal, and this to them really does look like the real deal. And so yesterday morning, the mayor of New Orleans issued a mandatory evacuation order, the first time in New Orleans history that citywide there had been a mandatory evacuation order. That's how significantly they took it. And so what you have here, of course, is a city that simply doesn't know just how bad the damage is going to be, but knows it doesn't look good. If we've been listening over the last couple of days, of course, reminders about New Orleans being essentially a soup bowl. Much of the city is 5 to 10 feet underwater. Once the water goes in, it really has no place to go out. And so by last night, as I left New Orleans, the streets of downtown were virtually deserted. Almost nobody in his right mind was basically on the street, except, of course, for emergency crews and police officers encouraging, urging, pleading with people to leave the streets. What you did find was lots of people packed into hotels. The downtown hotels are all packed. These are people, mostly residents, in some cases tourists who were trapped, but mostly residents who were simply made the call that they were probably better off in a well-built high-rise than they were on their ground floor home. And so they showed up with their coolers, they showed up with their food and their pets, and they're settling in for the long haul. And then now beyond that, of course, you have folks crowded into the New Orleans Superdome. These are folks, for the most part, who had no other place to go. That is going to be an uncomfortable situation, but clearly, Hannah, this is a storm that New Orleans took seriously.
And that's the good news. CBS's Mark Strassman in Baton Rouge. Thanks, and take care. For more on Katrina, here's CBS News hurricane analyst Brian Norcross from our Miami station, WFOR. Good morning, Brian. What's the status of Katrina right now?
And good morning, Hannah. We have some new information in, and we've been analyzing very closely here, and we're getting a little bit, I stress, optimistic for New Orleans, downtown New Orleans, inside the levees here. This storm is staying a little bit to the east. The wind's now down to 140 miles per hour. But look on the satellite here. The 140-mile-an-hour winds are east of the center. You see the purples in here. And it looks like the eye is going to stay east of New Orleans. Now, this puts tremendous pressure here on Mississippi and the Mississippi coast and the areas outside the levee east of New Orleans. But this may be good news for downtown New Orleans. All right, that's a quick look at some national weather. Now, here's the weather in your area.
Hi, good morning. Pamela Wright here with what's going on around home today, and a very tropical flow, courtesy still of Katrina, keeping us pretty breezy and very steamy, so storms will be around, and with high temperatures in the low 90s, feeling like the low 100s to you. Boaters, it's still a little rough out there, a little tricky out on the seas, 2 to 6 feet. Those will go down as your day goes on, but that strong south wind stays with us and stays very steamy for the days ahead. We'll count on afternoon storms. Be safe.
Although it's not definitive, the fact that it's staying to the east and the worst weather is even east of the center may allow this storm to sneak by New Orleans without the worst happening in the city, but we still expect catastrophic damage outside of the levee system. Harry?
And especially those people along the Mississippi coast who are going to get ready to get hammered. Thank you very much, Brian Norcross in Miami. You bet. All right, checking other news this morning. Sunni Muslim groups are denouncing Iraq's proposed constitution. Its drafters delivered the document to Iraq's parliament yesterday. In Texas, President Bush said he regretted that the Sunnis did not endorse it, and he praised the negotiators.
Of course there's disagreements. We're watching a political process unfold, a process that has encouraged debate and compromise, a constitution that was written in a society in which people recognized that there had to be give and take.
The people of Iraq are scheduled to vote on the Constitution in October. Meanwhile, anti-war demonstrators held a Sunday prayer service outside President Bush's ranch. Cindy Sheehan, a woman whose son was killed fighting in Iraq, received a strong show of support from the Reverend Al Sharpton. He denounced those who have criticized what she's doing. In Aruba, the search for new clues in the case of missing teenager Natalie Holloway as the focus returns to two brothers. CBS News correspondent Kelly Kobiea is live in Aruba with the latest. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Divers scoured the sea bottom about a mile offshore here yesterday after a volunteer searcher said that his radar detected human bones. Once again, divers came up empty there, and the investigation, as you say, on land has focused once again on two brothers.
It is round two for Deepak Kalpo and his brother Satish. The two were questioned for several hours on Saturday and again on Sunday. Prosecutors claim they have new evidence against the brothers. Their attorneys have seen nothing.
Well, they haven't shown us any evidence.
Is that normal?
So no, this is not normal. Only in Aruba is it normal.
A fourth man has entered the picture. Freddie Zidane Arambatsis, a close friend of Bjorn Vandersloot's, was also arrested Friday. He calls himself Loco Man Pimp on his webpage. He's a familiar face in pictures of Vandersloot and the Kalpos, but is he part of the Holloway investigation? Prosecutors aren't saying. Holloway's mother and stepfather heard about the arrests while at home in Birmingham, Alabama.
Beth and I are very, very happy because that's what we've wanted. I mean, they have some answers.
And, you know, Jug and I and several other family members, we felt early on, as early as May 31st, that these boys should have been arrested then on that day.
And the legal clock is ticking for Joran Vandersloot. The prosecutors have until Sunday to either charge him or convince a judge to hold him for another 30 days. Harry?
Kelly Kobiea live in Aruba this morning. Thank you. And in sports, a big hit settled the Little League World Series with a score tied in extra innings. Michael Mamea hit a home run. Oh, yeah. Hawaii won its first ever, I guess it was Eva Beach, actually, Hawaii, won its first ever championship, beating Curacao 7-6. All right. There you go.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
All right. Well, up next, we're going to talk with a man who chose to ride out Hurricane Katrina in his New Orleans home. Then later, we'll tell you why a growing number of older women are suffering from serious eating disorders. And we'll have your backstage pass to MTV's biggest night, the Video Music Awards. This is The Early Show on CBS.
Are you getting the most health care coverage for your Medicare dollar? If not, then you should know about Humana Gold Classic. Call now and Humana will send you this free booklet that tells how Humana Gold Classic gives you hundreds of doctors and many hospitals to choose from in your area, unlimited generic and designated brand name drugs, hearing and vision care, dental exams, and free membership in the award-winning Silver Sneakers Fitness program. You get all this and much more for no additional monthly plan premium. And now you can carry over your unused prescription drug benefit amounts from 1 month to the next, up to $1,500. It's all in this free booklet, getting the most for your Medicare dollar. Call Humana today to get yours. 1-800-833-6517 and get the most for your Medicare dollar.
This year, staying beautiful can take 1,000 lipstick applications, a dozen manicures, and several haircuts. But there's one beauty treatment you only have to do once. Imagine a dental plan that's a one-time beauty routine. New Crest White Strips Premium Plus. Get whiter teeth with just one kit. Keep them whiter for 18 months. Just once and you're done. New Crest White Strips Premium Plus. Part of the Crest Dental Plan for healthy, beautiful smiles for life.
If it's about fashion, what's in is always in at TJ Maxx, where thousands of new designer fashions at unbelievable prices arrive every week at every store. TJ Maxx. See what's in this week.
It's the final summer sale, now through month end at Rick Case Acura. Now find the lowest prices of the year on 05 Acuras, RSX, TSX, MDX, TL, even the all-new RL. New Acuras from $199 a month. Buy any new Acura with 0 down. Plus get $500 in gas with any new or used car. Through month end at Rick Case Acura, 441 at Sunrise, Florida's largest volume dealer.
The Rick Case philosophy is simple.
Treat every customer as our best friend.
As we've been reporting, Hurricane Katrina is bearing down on New Orleans this morning with 145-mile-an-hour winds. While hundreds of thousands of the city's residents have obeyed mandatory evacuations, there are others who've decided to stay put. We have on the phone right now from New Orleans, Bruce Shreves, who is riding up the storm at home. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning.
Why did you decide to make this decision to stay behind?
Well, I've been through a number of storms down here. We've always stayed here. I live out by the lakefront, which is actually a fairly high area and pretty sturdy home. So my brother came over, and our wives went downtown to a hotel. So we're doing fine.
So it's just you and your brother at home right now?
My brother and I, my son, and we got a bunch of animals here that we're taking care of.
What is the storm doing right now where you are?
Right now, it's blowing really hard. Probably 70, 80, 90-mile-an-hour winds, some rain. I think the landfall was probably about a half an hour ago. It's probably going to hit, the eye is probably going to hit here about 10 o'clock, 10:30. But right now we're getting really strong winds. Some trees are down, some limbs are down, and so forth. But the house is fine.
Are you rethinking at all your decision to stay behind?
You know, I actually rethought it a little bit this morning. I thought that, this may not have been the brightest move, but we've done it before, and it looks like the storm may actually turn a little bit east, so we're going to get a lot of wind, but I think that we'll be okay, and I think it's going to work out okay.
Bruce, what have you done to safeguard, weatherproof your home to make sure that you and your son and your brother will be safe?
Well, we've got hurricane shutters that are electric shutters that we put down yesterday, so that covers all the windows. Those are the steel shutters, so that we feel pretty safe there. And we've taken everything in the house that can fly around. Anything outside that could be a projectile, we've moved into the house. And looking outside, there's a lot of things flying around outside. So I think that's about all you can do, really.
What about water and power?
We don't have any power. We lost power about 2 hours ago. We still have water, but power is gone. But we're just starting, daylight's just coming up now, so we can see outside, and it's I think we're going to be okay.
Are you scared at all?
I'm really not at this point. I think that it looks like, again, the storm may move a little bit to the east, so I think the storm surge was our big concern coming over the levees. They were talking about 25-foot storm surge. It doesn't look like that's going to happen now. It may be a lot less. So
yeah, we certainly hope not. With Bruce Shreves, we wish you well. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Julie.
The most important thing, he said, he's got these steel storm shutters that actually, mechanically go down to protect the windows in the houses. I mean, so much done technologically to improve that sort of thing. You can buy very expensive windows that are literally hurricane-proof. But in a place like New Orleans, there are so many huge poor neighborhoods where these people have none of that stuff.
Right, and this man chose to stay, but you have to feel for a lot of people didn't have the choice to evacuate. They didn't have anywhere to go, like those folks that are hunkered down in the Superdome right now.
Absolutely. Well, Health Watch is next. We're going to take a look at the spices and seasonings that pull double duty. They make food taste great and can help treat some common ailments, too. This is the Early Show on CBS.
Urgent. Employee pricing plus. Save up to $82.83 on Grand Cherokee. Save up to $56.55 on Jeep Liberty. Employee pricing plus at Dade Jeep Chrysler. Southwest 158th Street and US 1.
Hi, I'm Larry Coker for Evenings Delight. For the absolute best selection and prices on barbecue grills, fireplaces, and hot tubs, go where I shop. Evenings Delight. Come in today for great holiday specials. Oh, Evenings Delight delivers too.
WFOR-Ch Hobby Superstore, wall-to-wall fun. 15,000 square feet of slot cars, rockets, erector sets, models, RC boats, cars, and planes. I've never seen a guy jump that high.
Not to mention the best selection of model trains and layouts, and Thomas & Friends wooden trains anywhere.
So if you're serious about having fun, step into WFOR-Ch Hobby Superstore. Hey, no crash. WFOR-Ch Hobby Superstore, your place for family fun.
Informative, innovative, new studies, medical breakthroughs, health news you can use only on Health Watch, every day on The Early Show.
New Promise Buttery Spread helps maintain a healthy heart when eaten instead of butter or margarine. And now it also has heart health essentials and no trans fat. No wonder hearts are beating louder. New Promise Buttery Spread, taking your health to heart.
When my allergies get really bad, I feel like I'm in a fog. Now I'm Claritin Clear. Claritin gives me non-drowsy relief from my worst symptoms for 24 hours. It's the only one proven to make you alert and focused. Got it. Claritin. Live Claritin Clear.
I used to use a cream in my fingers for microdermabrasion at home.
Now I get professional level results with Neutrogena Advanced Solutions Microdermabrasion System. Clinical tests show that it's comparable to professional treatments.
Skin looks fresher,
Feels softer.
there's a new radiant glow. The look of fine lines, wrinkles, and sun damage are diminished.
My skin is glowing and looking gorgeous.
And you know what?
It gets better every time I use it. Advanced Solutions Microdermabrasion System. Neutrogena.
Walk me through this. Mr. Goodwrench can service an entire car?
I guess you could call it a one-stop shop.
I could, but I won't. And you can't make me. What you doing?
Goodrich maintenance. It's like a physical for your car.
That makes you a cardiologist. Obviously, I'm joking.
Find Mr. Goodwrench at all GM dealerships nationwide.
And try it now.
This week on CBS Daytime, brace yourself.
Marry her. Be a good father.
What about the happiness that we deserve for a twist?
Get to them before they get to you.
So devious.
Still getting my kid back. He belongs with me. Dream on.
You won't see it coming.
Something is wrong.
Oh, Michelle, you're doing fine. This week on CBS Daytime, nobody does drama better.
The Early Show continues now from the General Motors building in New York City.
This morning on Health Watch, we're talking about super seasonings. Lots of health-conscious people pay attention to what's in the food they eat. What about what's on our food or what we use to season it? Registered dietitian Samantha Heller has more on seasonings that not only make food taste good, but they're also good for you, right?
That's right, they are.
Nice to see you.
You
So what
too.
are we talking about here?
Well, there are so many healthy herbs and spices out there, and I don't think people know that they actually have healthful, beneficial effects that prevent diseases and things like that.
They come in a lot of forms, you know, powdered and
Powdered,
otherwise in
dried,
teas.
crystallized, fresh, in tea, and that's always the way you want to use it. What we don't want people to do is use a volatile oil, which is very concentrated, or supplements of these, because they are chemicals and they can interact with certain medications. So we want them to be in the powder or in the seed or in a crystallized form.
Some kind of natural form.
That's right.
Okay, and you say that cinnamon, I had no idea, but cinnamon has healthful benefits, right?
Cinnamon is for aromatic, fragrant, used for centuries in perfumes, and we love the flavor, but it's actually a good antioxidant, and recently we have studies that show it helps people that are type 2 diabetics manage their blood sugar and their blood lipids, which is like cholesterol.
Does it really?
Yeah, so remember cinnamon toast when you were a kid?
Yes,
or
I
cinnamon
still eat
tea?
cinnamon toast,
Yeah, it's
right.
great. So it's a great thing to add to your diet, and also on cereal, and it makes it sweet without the sugar.
But how much would you have to eat to have healthful benefits?
they made were the test. We're using about a quarter teaspoon, so you don't really have to use a lot.
Okay, this is turmeric?
Turmeric.
Or turmeric,
yep.
right?
It's that yellow spice that makes curry yellow and mustard yellow, and that has a phytochemical called curcumin. Now, curcumin is showing some really strong antioxidant, antibacterial, anti-cancerogenic effects. So they're testing it on cancers like breast cancer and esophageal cancer and things like that, skin cancer, also Alzheimer's. So it's a very powerful, very important spice. So you want to use this when you can if you like curry. If you don't worry, there's plenty of other things you can use.
You said you can sneak it into your eggs, right?
Yeah, if you're making an egg white omelet and people say, oh, I don't like egg whites, sneak a little turmeric, makes it yellow, they won't miss a yolk.
And it'll be good for them, too.
It's good for them, too.
We always hear about ginger. I keep crystallized ginger, which is this, in my office. I mean, that helps if your tummy's upset ever, right?
We have studies that show it helps with when your stomach is upset, if you're nauseous from pregnancy, also motion sickness. There's a spice, the spice itself has something called gingerols, which is anti-carcinogenic. They're looking at that now as a cancer-suppressing agent. This crystallizes great pickled with sushi. You can make cookies, well, not cookies, but healthy cookies. You know, things like that. So ginger's a great spice.
All right, what do we have over here? Fennel
seed. This is fennel
Right.
and also the vegetable, which we don't have. That became popular to be grilled in salads. Fennel also
a lot of people have it with fish, right?
With
and
fish,
salad, right?
Indigestion. You see these little containers of the seeds when you walk out of an Indian restaurant. They chew on them. Helps with indigestion. Helps with colicky babies. So it's actually a great thing to have.
So you could actually eat the seed
whole? You can chew on
or?
the seeds, sure. You can have fennel tea. You can use it. It's got that licorice-y flavor.
How would you give this to a baby?
Probably in a tea. They would dilute a tea and maybe put it in a bottle. But again, you have to ask your physician if you're going to do that. But it has been shown to help reduce symptoms of colic.
Okay, and rosemary?
And rosemary. This is the great fragrant herb. Now, this is such a fun herb. It's got rosmarinic and acid in it. Very powerful antioxidant. Helps with circulation, helps with digestion. The German government has approved it for that. And also, you can rinse your hair with it and make it very shiny.
There you go. Samantha Heller, thanks so much.
Welcome.
Good for your hair, too. Still ahead, our coverage of Hurricane Katrina continues with live reports from New Orleans as it copes with the power of this Category 4 storm. We'll be right back.
CBS Health Watch, sponsored by Quaker Chewy Granola Bars. Another way to get your Quaker a day.
Send him out with someone you trust. When he's on the outside, the goodness of Quaker's on the inside. Now with 25% less sugar. Quaker Breakfast Bars, another way to get your Quaker a day.
Where did I get this glow? In Bermuda? Or from a wild fling? With a moisturizer.
New Jergens Natural Glow. Moisturize daily to keep your healthy summer glow all year long. Jergens glowing skin is in.
What can enhance your color? Day after day? Pantene Expressions for brunettes, blondes, and reds. ChromaShine Pro Vitamin formulas infuse every strand with healthy multi-dimensional shine, enhancing your color every day. Pantene Expressions for brunettes, blondes, and reds. Radiate, glow, shimmer. That's the beauty of health.
Coming up, some are calling Hurricane Katrina the big one. There are fears that this massive Category 4 hurricane could devastate New Orleans, destroying everything in its path and leaving many people homeless. We'll have all the latest from the center of the storm.
After these messages in your local news.
Introducing the new Pedigree Slide Right Zipper Bag. Keeps every bite as fresh as the first.
Get more out of your Dell PC with home installation, training, and virus assistance for your new PC for an additional charge. This Dimension desktop is $299 after mail-in rebate. Plus, get a free printer. Get more out of now. Dell PCs use Intel Celeron processors.
This is no place for bumps or dimpled skin. Nivea Reshaping Treatment helps boost collagen production to bring problem areas back into shape in 3 weeks. Nivea Reshaping Treatment.
We're making choices to keep our cholesterol and blood pressure healthy.
More fish, less red meat.
And a new multivitamin.
One-A-Day Cholesterol Plus, the only complete multivitamin with polycosanol and key nutrients to help maintain cholesterol and blood pressure. One-A-Day Cholesterol Plus.
Hungry for laughs? It's Dave You Crave. All new tonight.
Now, live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
And good morning, everyone. Brian Norcross here in Weather Control to bring you up to date on what's going on here with the South Florida weather and also with Hurricane Katrina. First of all, on to real-time radar here, and you see a few showers and a couple of pretty heavy ones. There's a little heavy one there, but they're well offshore, except for these in the Ocean Reef area. They're around Key Largo, but they're in lines, essentially, so you might get one, and if you get one, you probably get another one, because they're all lined up, and they're essentially associated with the hurricane, kind of being pulled in there. But notice they're very widely scattered, mostly rain-free today, but rain chances will increase a little bit this afternoon as things begin to heat up. Now, here's the latest advisory on Hurricane Katrina, but we do have a couple of updates for you. First of all, the wind is down to 140 miles per hour, most of the wind on the east side of the storm. Moving to the north at 15, the pressure now up to 921, so the weakening trend, the slow weakening trend continues, but still 140 mile an hour hurricane. Just remember back to what hit us here back last week when Katrina hit us. We were talking about an 80 mile an hour hurricane, so that's what's going on there now, 70 miles south-southeast of New Orleans as of 7 o'clock. Now, here you see the future track, likely now going to the east of New Orleans, somewhere in there, and having a tremendous impact, looks like on the Mississippi coast, and it looks like New Orleans may get by without a worst-case situation here. It's just still a little too close to call, but some optimism now this morning, and then the storm spreads on up to the north. All right, let's take a look at the South Florida forecast. Steamy and a few storms around today, a little bit on the breezy side, 92. For the boaters, the winds out of the south at 15 to 20 knots, seas 2 to 6 feet, and a moderate chop in the bay. For tonight, it's very muggy again. It continues with this tropical air here, and a low down to only about 80. And looking ahead through the week, we continue with storms, especially in the afternoon. Now, let's check in with Ty, the traffic guy. Ty?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Let's take a look outside and see how things are shaping up for you. Before we get to that, breaking news taking place on the road. At least 2 children struck 100th Avenue at Southwest 172nd Street in Perrine. Air rescue was called out to the scene. The children are being transported to Miami Children's Hospital. Again, this is happening in Perrine. We'll stay on top of that breaking news story and bring you the very latest. Looking at the maps this morning, 151st, well, actually, that's the scene there. 151st, you'll find that crash reported on 95, slowing you down, heading southbound. Next complete update in 25 minutes. Until then, have a great day. See you then.
CBS 4 News Traffic is sponsored by Palmetto Ford. Give us a try before you buy. 305-592 Ford.
Mary, what are you doing?
A little demonstration. Each empty glass represents 1 month you don't have to pay if you finance your new furniture at Rooms to Go.
Well, let's see. First payment, April 2007. That's a lot of empty glasses.
Uh-huh.
What are those?
Annoying checks that you will be writing every month if you finance your new furniture at other stores.
That's bad. Luckily at Rooms to Go, no really means no.
No money down, no minimum purchase, no interest, no payments until April 2007.
Good demonstration.
Bet the competition doesn't think so.
No.
Introducing the new steak and cheddar breakfast sandwich from Dunkin' Donuts.
Good morning, class. My name is Mr. Sweeney, and I'll be your substitute teacher.
Made with scrambled egg, delicious new steak, and real cheddar cheese. It's great when you need a little something extra. Dunkin' Donuts. Bring yourself back. Stop by Dunkin' Donuts and enjoy a cup of the best coffee in America with your breakfast sandwich today.
Still frustrated by your lower back or neck pain? An astonishing new DVD exposes why most doctors have no idea what to do when their patients suffer with lower back and neck pain. They try drugs and other ineffective treatments, hoping that someday the pain will go away, but it never does. Don't take another pill or even consider surgery until you get your free copy of the DVD that can change the way you can live life without back or neck pain. Call the toll-free 24-hour recorded message now at 800-245-0956.
So let's mix a lavender.
Hey, what you doing?
Nothing.
Come on over and let's play at our house. We'll play some games. Even the kids can play. Grab a bite to eat. Oh, invite your friends. We have plenty of room. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming. You bet you're gonna have a great time.
Watch the live Cash 3 Play 4 drawing weeknights just before 8 on CBS 4.
A Category 4 Hurricane Katrina pounding Louisiana this morning, bearing down on the Big Easy with 140-mile-an-hour winds. As we've been reporting, hundreds of thousands have fled New Orleans, which some fear could be literally quite severely impacted by this devastating storm. We're looking at a live picture right now from Biloxi, Mississippi. Now, Biloxi, maybe 45 minutes an hour or so east of New Orleans along Highway Interstate 10 there. This is an area, Biloxi, and that Gulf Coast of Mississippi is really going to get slammed as this storm looks to be going just east of New Orleans, and a huge impact is going to be reaching up along that Mississippi coast. Good morning and welcome to the early show. Renee is off this morning, and Hurricane Katrina is a big one indeed.
Certainly are, and here are a few facts about it this morning. Katrina, this monster storm capable of inflicting devastating damage. And this morning she made landfall east of Grand Isle, Louisiana, as a Category 4 storm. Now, the eye is about 70 miles southeast of New Orleans, so as Harry mentioned, that shift to the east over the last few hours could possibly spare the city of New Orleans the brunt of the storm, but it's certainly not out of danger, and the folks in Mississippi could absolutely get hammered today.
Absolutely. Besides packing powerful winds, Katrina threatens a devastating storm surge that could swamp the city. For the most part, New Orleans has been evacuated. Tens of thousands who couldn't flee are holed up in shelters, praying for the best.
So the danger is not only to New Orleans, as we've been reporting, to a wide portion of the Gulf Coast, stretching all the way to the Alabama-Florida border. CBS News correspondent Jim Acosta is live in Biloxi with the latest this morning. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Harry. When Katrina wobbled to the east this morning, it became all too clear that Mississippi was in for a major hit from this hurricane. And with so many big casinos parked on the beach in Biloxi, there's a lot riding on this storm.
Overnight, the beach boulevard that runs along Biloxi's coastline, Highway 90, went underwater. Authorities fear the storm surge here could be higher than 20 feet when Hurricane Katrina barrels ashore.
Some of the low-lying areas already flooded. Right in front of our building here is about 6 to 8 foot of water.
For the casinos that drive so much of Biloxi's local economy, including one owned by the Hard Rock Cafe, Katrina is hitting a sour note. Because some of these gambling palaces are actually built atop barges, some worry the casinos could break loose and fall into the Gulf. The normally calm shoreline here is growing meaner by the minute. This lone car parked next to the beach will be surfing before this storm is finished. Power transformers blew as this resort town started losing electricity.
And even as this hurricane moves inland, the danger is not over yet. That's because much of this state will be experiencing hurricane-like conditions throughout the day. We're starting to feel something right now. This Mississippi Gulf Coast will be under a lot of water, Harry.
We've had a little bit of satellite breakup as we're watching your picture there live. How much has the weather situation deteriorated there, say, in the last 30 minutes or so, Jim?
Well, Harry, the winds are picking up tremendously. We're starting to see wind gusts that are at hurricane strength, and this is just the beginning of it. We're hearing that there could be a storm surge of 25, perhaps even 30 feet. We'll just have to see how that goes. So houses that are close to the beach here are going to be almost underwater, if not totally underwater, as the day goes on. So we're just going to have to see how this goes here. But right now, you can definitely tell things are going downhill fast.
Going downhill fast. Jim Acosta in Biloxi, Mississippi, thanks so much. We want to go to CBS News correspondent Mark Strassman, who is standing by in the Louisiana capital of Baton Rouge. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Harry. Baton Rouge today is truly a bedroom community of New Orleans. There are just so many people from New Orleans who have fled here, some of them at the last minute, some of them in panic, but here nonetheless trying to escape the wrath of Katrina. The conditions here are deteriorating too, but of course everybody expects New Orleans to be in much worse shape. And the people who have fled from New Orleans know that their city is going to take a punch. They just hope it's not a knockout punch.
With Katrina's worst on its way, the last wave of people fled New Orleans overnight, thousands of them looking for any place safe. In the city itself, deserted streets are just one more sign of the worry. This is the hurricane New Orleans has feared for decades. Hotels are packed for hundreds of miles, many people squeezed into shelters, wondering what they will have to go home to.
Remember that everybody is in tight quarters. Let's everybody be nice and friendly.
Nothing seems nice and friendly about Katrina. So for the first time in its history, New Orleans is under a mandatory evacuation order.
This is a once in probably a lifetime event. The city of New Orleans has never seen a hurricane of this strength to hit it almost directly.
Gas stations were jammed with panicky people desperate to get out.
Have wheels will travel. So I got my car tanked up, my bike, and if all else fails, I got my bicycle.
We've got oil, we've got water, we've got food. Pray for us. Pray for all of New Orleans.
There's an ominous sense here that this storm is different. Katrina looks like the big one.
Here in Baton Rouge, I'm standing outside the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. This is where Louisiana will coordinate the emergency relief of New Orleans once the storm passes. We're talking about damage assessment, search and rescue, getting emergency supplies in. Depending what they're up against, they have different scenarios, but Harry, none of them look pretty.
And you can see that the weather is getting worse as the hours go by this morning in Baton Rouge. Thank you so much. Mark Strassman live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana this morning. We want to go to Mike Seidel right now with the Weather Channel. He's in Mobile, Alabama. Mike, can you hear me all right?
Good morning, Harry. I wish you were out on to me right now, buddy.
We've gone through a few of these together. What's the situation there in Mobile?
Well, we've had 60 miles an hour. We just had a gust that had higher, and something just blew about 50 yards away. I don't know if a transformer came down off a pole, but it's ramping up very quickly here. And again, these are the outer bands, Harry. We've already had 3 or 4 tornado warnings this morning, and but no reports of any damage. But again, there's nobody out on the streets. Everything is shut down. We have moved inland away from Mobile Bay to keep ourselves safe from the surge. But as you get inland here and all the way up through the Ohio Valley, all these areas, thousands of people will be impacted by wind and also the threat of tornadoes and also flooding rains. We've already had upwards of 3 inches of rain.
All right. Mike Seidel live in Mobile. Mobile has managed to dodge the bullet quite a lot in this last hurricane season, but as that storm surge and, of course, that right-hand punch from the storm comes up that way, they could be seriously impacted. We've got John Roberts on the phone with us right now from New Orleans. As we've been reporting, the power went out there earlier this morning. Very difficult to get a satellite signal out in the middle of a hurricane. John, what can you tell us about the situation there right now?
Hey, good morning to you, Harry. It was a rude awakening here in New Orleans. Just as dawn was breaking is when the first of the hurricane-force winds began to be felt. I've holed up with the crew in an above-ground parking garage, which gives us a dramatic view of the hurricane on 4 sides of this building. Looking across right now to about a 20-story building that's under construction, a couple of construction cranes on the top of it. They're holding fast so far as the winds are up about 100 miles an hour right now, but that big ball on the end of the crane, that big hook, is just swinging around like a sinker on the end of a fishing line. Anything that hasn't been tied down and a lot that has made the streets absolutely the most deadly place that you could be. In an alleyway between this parking garage and our hotel, strips of aluminum roofing have been sheeting off, and that's the sort of thing that would just take your head off if it were to catch you going across that alleyway. People here are extremely anxious because they don't know what this hurricane is going to do. This is an area that gets hit an awful lot, but they've never been hit by anything this big. They hope the levees are going to hold, but they're not sure. They hope that the buildings are going to withstand the winds that are to come, but they're not sure. The only good news in a bad situation this morning, Harry, appears to be that it looks like the eye is going to slide just to the east of New Orleans, which would mean that we'll just be on the west side, the backing winds, and while they're still going to be high, it may not be the devastation that a lot of people were expecting here, but it is still, and I have to say I've been through a number of these, including Hugo back in 1989. It is a wild ride this morning.
Let me ask you this, John. Can you see down to street level? How, are the streets, have the pumps been able to pump the water out so far, or are the streets starting to, can you see any water accumulation?
I'm at street level right now,
okay.
And there hasn't been enough rain to cause any kind of flooding. I would say that if there is going to be any flooding here, it's going to come from whatever storm surge finds its way into Lake Pontchartrain, and then if Lake Pontchartrain floods its levee, then they're in trouble. Also, the power went out here about an hour ago, and that means, of course, that the pumps are either working on auxiliary power or not working at all. So if that's the case, there could be water rapidly backing up. But right now, the streets are just sort of windswept, but nothing cooling at this point.
All right. Thanks very much, John Roberts, live in New Orleans this morning. Thank you so much. We have more on Hurricane Katrina and the rest of the day's weather here at CBS News. Hurricane analyst Brian Norcross has it for us. But first, this.
This weather report sponsored by Florida Orange Juice. Drink it every day.
And Brian Norcross here in Miami. Let me give you the update here on where we stand with this hurricane. The eye of the storm is ashore south of New Orleans. This is the worst weather here in that red band. It's just south of the city now. We'll be moving in there within the next hour. Over here in Pascagoula, Mississippi, 113-mile-an-hour winds just reported there, and tornado warnings in Mobile and over in the western Florida Panhandle, all that underway. Now take a look at this map. This is where Katrina is going after the storm leaves the New Orleans area. It's going to spread to the north, across Mississippi, across the Tennessee Valley and up into the Ohio Valley, and some flooding is very possible with that storm, and it will eventually spread into northern Canada. So this is going to be a factor, especially in the deep south and the mid-south through today and into tomorrow. That's a look at your national weather. Now, here's a look at what's going on in your area.
Hi there, Pamela Wright here this morning. Far-reaching effects of Katrina keeping us very tropical and breezy today, so we do expect storms coming through, especially this afternoon with our highs close to 92, of course, once again feeling like the low 100s out there. South winds for boaters staying strong, 15 to 20 knots. Seas will go down a bit as the afternoon goes on, and still a moderate chop out on the bay waters. We'll look ahead, count on some afternoon storms around, steam heat in the low 90s.
That's it in Miami. We'll watch this continue to develop.
All right, great. Thanks, Brian. We'll check in with you later. And up next, we continue tracking Hurricane Katrina, find out how they're preparing for the worst in Louisiana. We'll be right back.
Hey, a new drink. Ingredients: high fructose corn syrup, inositol, pyridoxine hydrochloride, maltodextrin, glucurono something or other. Of course, my favorite, caffeine. Or Florida orange juice. Ingredients: fresh air, rain, sunshine.
A glass of Florida orange juice every morning is a natural way to get many of the nutrients you need. Florida orange juice. Healthy, pure, and simple.
Me and B.B. King have a lot in common. We both have diabetes. He doesn't like to wait for results. I don't like to wait.
All done within 5 seconds. You just can't beat that.
Ask for One Touch Ultra. One Touch changes everything.
Send him out with someone you trust. When he's on the outside, the goodness of Quaker's on the inside. Now with 25% less sugar. Quaker breakfast bars. Another way to get your Quaker a day.
It's the hot thing in activewear. Bengay's Ultra Strength Pain Relieving Patch. Now even stronger for deep heating relief. And it lasts up to 8 hours. Try the Ultra Strength Bengay Pain Relieving Patch. It's what's hot in pain relief.
If you're a health nut about your skin, this is a natural. Introducing the newest Lubriderm Skin Nourishing Lotion with natural shea nut and cocoa butters. It helps dry skin draw in and retain moisture, so it's naturally healthy. New Lubriderm Skin Nourishing Lotion with shea and cocoa butters.
To be healthy, your eyes need oxygen. Your eyes need breathable O2 Optics contact lenses. Revolutionary contacts that transmit up to 5 times more oxygen than the leading lens. O2 Optics, for wider, healthy-looking eyes. So breathable, they're even approved by the FDA for overnight wear. Visit O2optics.com. O2 Optics, breathable lenses for the health of your eyes.
My name is Lily. This is Marshall. He's my guy. Stupid eye patch. This is Marshall's best friend, Ted.
I'm ready. Where is she?
And there she was.
The real thing.
We love Ted, but man...
I love you.
What?
What?
What is wrong with me?
He's got a lot to learn about women.
So when you tell this story to your friends, could you avoid the word psycho?
Good night, psycho.
The real thing.
When a crisis hits, you need to stay connected with family and friends, and you need their comfort and encouragement. CaringBridge.org helps people stay in touch.
With more than 160,000 trucks, 26,000 employees, and a global team of logistics specialists, Ryder System Incorporated could easily move their business anywhere in the world. But with help from the Beacon Council, they chose to make it Miami. And your company should too. Congratulations on your new world headquarters. Brought to you by the Beacon Council and CBS 4 in partnership to strengthen the economy of Miami-Dade County.
Walter Maestri is Director of Emergency Management for Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. That borders New Orleans. Good morning, Mr. Maestri.
Good morning.
In your suburban area, we've heard a lot about the evacuation of the city itself, but what was that process like for you?
Well, we have evacuated a significant number. We believe it's on the order of about 60 to 65% of the parish. That would mean about 300,000 people from our area.
What are your concerns about the people that remain in terms of their safety?
Well, right now we're very concerned. The storm is about to come to make landfall and come across basically the area, the metro area of New Orleans, a little bit to the east of the metro area. That's good news because, as everyone knows, that right front quadrant is the worst. But we're starting to experience winds solid at about 50 to 60 miles an hour, gusts to about 90 at this time.
So what's the greatest risk there? A lot of large trees falling? High winds?
The greatest risk is really from tidal surge flooding.
Okay.
New Orleans exists below sea level, basically in a bowl. It resembles a soup bowl. We're surrounded on all sides by levees, the entire metro area. If the levees are topped by the tidal surge flooding, then the water comes into the bowl and remains, because every drop of water that falls here has to be pumped out.
And potential for that water to be somewhat toxic, right? Given
yes,
the types of chemical and oil businesses in the area.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have major storage facilities directly adjacent to most of our waterways.
What mechanisms do you have in place this morning to try to withstand some of the damage? And with the president declaring a state of emergency in Louisiana, has that helped you at all?
Yes, it has. It's made the full resources of the federal government, FEMA, and the other agencies available to us. We've pre-positioned, or we did yesterday, a lot of those agencies and their resources. So we know we've got that support right now. Right now, we've got everybody in our area, all of the parish personnel and so forth, basically hunkered down, waiting for the storm to pass over us. The biggest problems right now are the lack of power. We are basically in the black about 90% in the metro area. And the other problem, as I said, is this fear and concern about the tidal surge flooding, given the fact that we're surrounded on three and basically 3.5 sides by water.
All right, Mr. Maestri, we certainly understand the anxiety levels there are high, and we do wish you well in all your efforts this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And now here's Julie.
All right, thanks a lot, Hannah. Still ahead, we'll tell you who walked off with the most moon men at last night's Wild MTV Video Music Awards. We'll be right back.
This is a dishwasher. This is not. Dishwasher, not. And this is Cascade Complete. Cascade Complete is 30% better at breaking down tough food than whatever you're using. Because pre-washing and pre-rinsing is our job, not yours. After all, this is a dishwasher. This is not. Cascade Complete. Now that's clean.
No pad is drier than Always Maxi. So you don't have to run for cover. Have a happy period. Always.
Want to get back your hair's full, thick swing? Get Pantene Full and Thick. The Pro Vitamin formula makes hair look 35% thicker. Pantene Full and Thick. That's the beauty of health.
Slim Fast Optima. Granola bars, shakes, meal bars. Designed with protein to help your tummy stay satisfied. Slim Fast Optima. Fill your tummy up, not out.
If you have indoor or outdoor allergies, ask your doctor about something different. Singulair. While many allergy medicines block histamine, Singulair works differently by blocking leukotrienes, an underlying cause of allergy symptoms. And Singulair is now approved to help relieve both indoor and outdoor allergy symptoms for a full 24 hours. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Singulair, a different way to treat indoor and outdoor allergies.
We look out for each other. We do it without thinking, without reward. It's what we do. And that's why there's more help coming from Medicare. New prescription drug coverage. With it, everyone who is eligible for Medicare can be covered for the prescriptions they need to stay healthy. But all of us should learn more about it because choices must be made. And we can help each other because that's what we do.
The Kia Amante. Rich leather. 9-speaker CD sound system. Power everything. Spacious and comfortable. With 8 standard airbags and all backed by a 10-year warranty program. The Kia Amante Premium Sedan. It's time for everyone to start living big.
Well, let's just give you the latest on the hurricane right now. The big news of the morning thus far is the fact that this hurricane is starting to track just to the right, just to the east of New Orleans, which is going to mean the biggest brunt of the storm, the biggest impact in terms of storm surge and in terms of winds are going to be to the right of that eye, which is going to mean that it's really going to be impacting up in Mississippi and along the Gulf shores of Mississippi. There's still, plenty to be ridden out here as far as the storm is concerned.
Oh, certainly, because they're so afraid of storm surge, and definitely New Orleans still at risk there. But the eye did make landfall about 55 miles southeast, and you can see the path there. Julie, we'll be feeling the effects for days, too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And people who have not evacuated yet should definitely run to higher ground for safety. But first, we have these messages and your local news.
Life doesn't stand still, and neither do we. That's why you trust Lowe's for paint. Not because only Lowe's carries American tradition paint, or because it's so durable, colors won't fade, or because a leading publication rated it Best Buy 4 years in a row, or because nobody works harder to save you money every day, which Lowe's promises to do. You see, at Lowe's, improving home improvement never ends.
Use your Lowe's card and pay nothing for 12 months on all purchases of $2.99 or more.
I was always going, having to go in the middle of traffic and just starting and stopping, having to go in the middle of a ball game and then not being able to go once I got there, and going at night, going and going. I thought I had a going problem. My doctor said I had a growing problem. It wasn't my bladder. My prostate was growing. I had an enlarging prostate. My doctor prescribed Avodart.
Most medicines only treat symptoms. Avodart, with time, actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms.
So I can go more easily when I need to go, and go less often.
Only your doctor can tell if your symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition such as prostate cancer, so have regular prostate exams. Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to the risk of a specific birth defect. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely, sexual side effects, tenderness, or swelling of the breast can occur. Call your doctor today. Avodart for your growing problem.
Introducing the new Pedigree Slide Right zipper bag. Keeps every bite as fresh as the first.
Get more out of your Dell PC with home installation, training, and virus assistance for your new PC for an additional charge. This Dimension desktop is $299 after mail and rebate. Plus, get a free printer. Get more out of now. Dell PCs use Intel Celeron processors.
New Moisture Extreme Lip Color from Maybelline, New York.
Feel the difference.
Packed with 3 times the power of the #1 lip balm, so moisture goes deep down. New Moisture Extreme.
Feel the difference for yourself.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Morning, Cam. Morning, Bob. Good morning, Scott Tissue. Scott Tissue's gone soft. With new Scott Extra Soft, it's softer and has as many sheets as 3 rolls of the competition. New Scott Extra Soft Tissue. Common sense on a roll.
Hey, Mom! We love summer. That's
Sunny D has bottled the fun and sun of summer. It combines 5 summery fruit flavors to create a rich citrus punch bursting with flavor and vitamin C. So every sip of Sunny D is a little splash of summer. Sunny D. And try new Sunny D Baja, crisp and refreshing.
Now, live, this is CBS 4 News This Morning.
And good morning, South Florida. Good to be with you as always this morning. I'm Danielle Knox. I'm Angela Ray, and for Susan Barnett. We have a very busy day ahead of us. Here's a look now at where we stand in terms of restoring power in South Florida. As of early this morning, more than 200,000 customers remain without electricity in Miami-Dade, and more than 100,000 are in the dark in Broward. Over 1 million customers, though, have had their power restored since Katrina swept through our area. And as Katrina roars ashore on the Gulf Coast right now, South Florida is still recovering from its visit here. The storm forcing many of South Florida's schools to close this morning. Miami-Dade County public and Catholic schools will be closed today, but in Broward, the schools are open. All Catholic schools in Broward County will be open as well, with just a few exceptions due to building damage. Parents are encouraged to contact individual schools. In Northwest Miami-Dade, water and ice will be given out today from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It will take place in the Carroll City Park Complex parking lot, 3201 Northwest 185th Street. And now our chief meteorologist, Brian Norcross, has the very latest on the hurricane as it makes landfall along the Gulf Coast.
Okay, thanks very much. Let's take a look at what's going on, first of all, on real-time radar here in South Florida. And what we see is a few pretty good downpours, but mostly offshore. A little bit of a shower moved ashore there in Key Largo around Ocean Reef. But otherwise, everything is offshore, but they're rotating in like this. So we do have the possibility of some of these coming in, but it looks like a mostly rain-free day coming up. Now, checking on the radar up there in Louisiana, near New Orleans, there's the eye wall, just south of downtown New Orleans now. So within the next hour or so, that weather is going to move in there. But the worst of it is over here. You can see that more intense color there, and that looks like it's going to go into Mississippi. But still, it's not going to be good in New Orleans, but it's not going to be as bad as it could be. Here are the numbers as of the 8 o'clock update: 29.5 and 89.5, 140 mile-an-hour winds at last report, but now the storm is technically ashore, and so the weakening trend should continue, moving north at 15. Pressure has come up to 921 millibars. At 8 o'clock, it was 55 miles to the southeast of New Orleans. All right, now let's take a look at our forecast. It's going to be steamy, and it's going to be occasionally stormy. If you get one, it'll be pretty quick and a good downpour, and a bit on the breezy side. 92 today. For the boaters, winds out of the south at 15 to 20 knots, 2 to 6 feet in the open sea, and a moderate chop in the bay. Tonight, muggy with just 1 or 2 fast-moving storms, and 80 for a low. And you see the temperatures stay right about 90. Now let's check in with Ty, the traffic guy.
Hey, good morning, Brian. Let's take a look now at the maps and see how things are shaping up for you. 95, you're heading southbound right around Cypress Creek. You'll find an earlier crash report in that area. This is 95 if you're heading either direction. North or southbound between Griffin Road doesn't look too bad for you. Conditions in Broward County, not looking so bad for you. Traffic's moving along, but you will find some delays at times. 95 southbound at Sheridan Street, there is an issue reported in that area. So if you plan on traveling there, expect yourself to have some delays. And earlier accident at 100th Avenue at Southwest 172nd Street. Air rescue was called out where a pedestrian was struck. Police are no longer there. However, the scene is still being investigated, so please be careful. We'll keep in track of your roadway conditions. Ty Kennedy, UPN 33 News this morning.
CBS 4 News Traffic is sponsored by Palmetto Ford. Give us a try before you buy. 305-592 Ford.
If you're eligible for Medicare, there's an exciting new idea in healthcare coverage you should know about, and it's called Humana Choice PPO. It delivers the benefits and coverage you may not have today, and yet still gives you the power to choose and visit any doctor or hospital you want, anytime, anywhere, with no referral, even when you travel. Now, this isn't a supplemental plan that only picks up where Medicare leaves off. No, Humana Choice PPO is full-scale health coverage that offers the same freedom of choice as supplemental plans, but with more benefits for a low monthly plan premium. you get coverage for unlimited generic prescription drugs, vision and hearing care, and free membership in the award-winning Silver Sneakers Fitness Program. To learn more, call for a free brochure at 1-866-836-7580. That's 1-866-836-7580.
After Katrina, for the latest on the cleanup, keep it on CBS 4 News.
Down there through the night, and as Hurricane Katrina has come on shore now, and we thank goodness that it is skirted a little bit to the east of New Orleans, saving New Orleans the brunt of this storm. But the worst of their weather is far from over yet. They've got a long morning to come. As we welcome you back to the early show, of course, we'll have much more on Katrina straight ahead.
Also in this half hour, we're going to meet the winners of our big kitchen makeover contest, and we'll tell you how all of you at home can play a big part in creating their new dream kitchen.
Most people don't think of stay-at-home moms in their 30s, 40s, and 50s dealing with potentially devastating eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia, but that is exactly what is happening in growing numbers these days. And coming up, we're going to take a closer look at that problem.
And we're also going to have a total wrap-up of last night's big MTV Music Awards, including a few things you didn't get to see on this big super splashy night last night. Let's go to CBS News correspondent Mark Strassman, who's live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana this morning. How's the weather there in the last hour or so? Has it gotten any worse?
It's definitely gotten worse, Harry. I mean, the rain is much harder. It comes down in side-to-side sheets sometimes, and frankly, we're getting a sense here of what New Orleans is going through. Can't begin to compare probably to what New Orleans is going through, but you do get a taste of it. What I can also tell you is happening here in Baton Rouge is the emergency response for New Orleans is being coordinated here, and there are some formidable logistics problems with rescuing and getting into New Orleans once this is over, of course, depending on how ugly the conditions get there. Let me give you a sense of it. The priorities are going to be damage assessment, search and rescue, and emergency supplies. For example, there are 15 semis packed with bottled water, 360,000 MREs, meals ready to eat. That's what the soldiers eat, ready to go into New Orleans. But how you get them there if the city is flooded out, of course, becomes a real problem. So I asked the emergency guy, well, what are you going to do? And he said, boats. I said, where are the boats going to come from? And he said, son, you're in southeast Louisiana. Everybody has a boat. And so what they're talking about essentially is a voluntary flotilla of boats heading into New Orleans to pull people out if they have to, especially if they can't get emergency supplies in. That's the sort of scenario that they're trying to walk themselves through here. And of course, it all depends on what Katrina does, how bad it gets in New Orleans. Harry, these guys are really up against it, depending on what Katrina does.
All right, Mark Strassman live in Baton Rouge this morning. Thank you very, very much. I want to get more on the hurricane right now and the rest of the day's weather. CBS News hurricane analyst Brian Norcross is at our Miami station, WFOR. And Brian, bring us up to date now, because this thing was so headed straight to New Orleans and it's taken a little bit of a jog to the right, which is good news for some and bad news for others.
It's absolutely true. The best evidence right now is that this storm is going to bypass New Orleans slightly to the right, and that is going to keep the storm from threatening the flood control levees. So let me go close up here on a satellite loop, and I can show you the details of that. Watch here now as it comes up. There's New Orleans. There's downtown New Orleans. It's clear it's going to go up this way. Now, Biloxi is right over here. So Biloxi is going to get the worst of it, and the Mississippi coast is going to get the worst of it. But because it has gone just to the right, it looks like there will not be enough water pushed up here into the lakes above New Orleans to be pushed back down into the city. The flood control levee should hold there for New Orleans. That's a quick look at the national weather. Now, here's a look at the weather in your area.
Hi, good morning. Pamela Wright here with what's going on around home today, and a very tropical flow, courtesy still of Katrina, keeping us pretty breezy and very steamy, so storms will be around, and with high temperatures in the low 90s, feeling like the low 100s to you. Boaters, it's still a little rough out there, a little tricky out on the seas, 2 to 6 feet. Those will go down as your day goes on, but that strong south wind stays with us and stays very steamy for the days ahead. We'll count on afternoon storms. Be safe.
Potential good news in terms of flooding in downtown New Orleans, but still a lot of New Orleans will be in the flood zone. And of course, the Mississippi and Alabama coast will have a tremendous amount of water.
Yeah, and the operative word of the morning, I guess, is should. All right, thanks very much, Brian Norcross. Now here's Hannah.
For the first time in nearly 40 years, New Orleans was fearful of taking a direct hit from a hurricane. And Katrina is definitely no ordinary storm. A massive hurricane, Category 4, top winds about 140 miles an hour. And there are still fears this morning that the damage there could be devastating when it is all said and done, as Senator Mary Landrieu from Louisiana joins us now from Baton Rouge. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Hannah. Thank you all for your attention to this, because it's a very serious situation down here still.
Well, everybody's very concerned about folks all over the Gulf Coast. As far as New Orleans is concerned, though, what's your reaction to the news that Katrina did make land about 55 miles southeast of the city, that it may not bear the brunt of the damage here?
Well, you know, as our governor said, we've been praying for the best and preparing for the worst, and it looks like the city again has been slightly spared with this turn to the east. Now, we're still going to get tremendous damage all along the Gulf Coast, the low-lying areas of Louisiana. We are by no way out of danger. People need to follow the instructions of their local officials and stay put where they are. There's been unprecedented evacuation cooperation between the governor of Mississippi and the governor of Louisiana. Truly is unprecedented to move this many people out to a safe place. Of course, there's still people in harm's way.
You know, you've been such a great advocate for the coastal wetlands there, which you have deteriorated over the years. Can you just give us a sense of how vulnerable that area still is to the storm surge this morning?
Well, one thing that will help people to see as they wake up all over America this morning, and as this hurricane moves to the land, of course the winds diminish. When it hits land, it's buffered a little bit. That's why we want there to be land there. That's why we argue to help restore our marsh, so that the bigger the marsh is, the safer the communities are. So we're asking the nation to direct its attention here. We produce a lot of money right off this coast directly to the federal treasury, and we are thankful that the country is now looking and understanding that investments here make a lot of sense in terms of saving lives and preventing damage.
Senator Mary Landrieu, we do wish everybody well there this morning, and good luck to you today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Now here's Julie.
I Want a Kitchen Makeover, sponsored by Lowe's, improving home improvement. Select the style for the Lowe's I Want a Kitchen Makeover contest. Vote today at cbsnews.com early show.
You're about to meet a very excited family. Over the past few weeks, the early show viewers have been emailing us photos and stories describing kitchens in serious need of a makeover. And thanks to our friends at Lowe's, one viewer's dream kitchen will soon become a reality. So let's meet our winners. The Maloney family from Warwick, Rhode Island. Nancy and John Maloney are with their kids, Stephanie, Jacob, Danny, Jonathan, Jameson, and Kaylee. Did I say that right, Kaylee?
That's right.
Good morning, everyone. Nancy, Nancy, let me begin with you. You obviously have a very big family. Just how busy is that kitchen of yours?
Oh, I'm probably in my kitchen at least 50% of the day, if not more. It's right in the middle of my house, so people are in and out of it all day long. Between cooking for 8 people and feeding 8 people, cleaning up, I spend a lot of time in my kitchen. And as you can see, it's not a big kitchen, and it lacks a lot of storage space, a lot of counter space. So it's tough getting around sometimes.
And not only is it your kitchen, it's also your dining room, right? Because, John, I understand you converted the dining room into a bedroom?
Yeah, I did. That was a lot of fun. I had to move a lot of stuff around, but we need a little more space for sleeping everybody. So that's what I did.
Not only for sleeping everyone, but also storing your food. I mean, you have a refrigerator, but I guess the freezer isn't big enough, right? So what'd you guys do?
Well, we went out and we bought one of the chest freezers, the smaller chest freezers, and we have that kind of in our hallway area. And that kind of takes care of the overflow of the smaller freezer that we have. And it works. You know, we manage.
Well, maybe if this all goes well, we can give you a new foyer, too. No, I'm just kidding. Lowe's is having a heart attack right now. So let me see if I have this right. You only have one cabinet in your kitchen?
Well, I have 3 that are kind of all in the same area. They're all in the sink area. One is for pans, one is for dishes, and the other is just kind of like spices and things like that. And that's basically it. Yeah, a lot of my dishes are still in boxes from when we moved about 5 years ago. Tupperware and things like that haven't even been brought out because I have no place to put it.
Wow.
So
now,
there it sits.
Now, John, I understand you actually tried to hang some cabinets on your kitchen wall, but what happened? Why couldn't you do that?
I tried. I tried. I bought a stud finder, and I couldn't find the studs to hold it up, and it wasn't centered right, so I ended up throwing the cabinets out in the garage and taking the stud finder and throwing that away too. It didn't work.
Stephanie,
there they sit in the garage.
Oh man. All right. Well, by show of hand, kids, how many of you feel like you really need a new kitchen and you want to help out your parents if you get this new kitchen? All right, well, that's reason enough. Oh, I don't see one hand raised. All right, well, let's tell everyone. At least, you know, being honest. All right, let's tell everyone how this is all going to come together. Now, while Lowe's will build the Maloney's new kitchen, our early show viewers will determine what it will look like. All you have to do is log on to the early show website at cbsnews.com, click on the kitchen makeover link to vote for your favorite style. Now, here's a look at the 3 choices. First, we have a comfortable and stylish casual kitchen.
I'm talking to you.
Next, we have the classic look of a more traditional kitchen. And finally, a sleek and modern contemporary design. I think we flipped the contemporary with the the casual. But whichever kitchen you decide, Lowe's will construct it at the Maloney house. And of course, we'll follow the whole process and update you every step of the way. So thank you and good luck, Nancy, John, the entire Maloney family. I'm sure the next few weeks will be very exciting for all of you. So good luck.
Well, thank you.
Thank
you.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye.
And shake up.
And now here's Hannah with our weekly look at women's health.
When most people think of eating disorders, stick-thin teenage girls come to mind. But surprisingly, the new face of anorexia and bulimia actually belongs to women 35 years and older. The women that we're talking about are usually married with children, and in many cases, they're having problems coping with all the changes that sometimes come along with midlife. 42-year-old Kathy Palmero was juggling marriage and motherhood and a job when she developed anorexia just months after having her second child. Psychiatrist Nicole Posner is with the Renfrew Center, an eating disorder treatment facility, and good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Kathy, what was happening during your pregnancy? Because you were really experiencing some stressful things during that second pregnancy.
My mother had passed away during my second pregnancy. I was 7.5 months pregnant, and she died on the 4th of July. My husband came home from work, and they called him at work to tell him because, you know, they really didn't want to tell me at the time. I mean, obviously, I had to know.
And you were working, right? You had a young child.
My son wasn't even 2 yet, and 7.5 months pregnant with my daughter. My mother had passed away. There was just like a lot of little things going on.
And did you gain a lot of weight during that pregnancy, an unusual amount, or?
About like 80 pounds. That was like really large, yes.
Right.
And
So you started dieting just to sort of lose weight afterwards, right? And people said, hey, you look great.
Right. And the more people said that, it was like, you know, if I look good now, how am I going to look? You know, if I lose a little bit more, because I was never like a thin person.
You said your goal was to get to be a size 0? Yeah. Is that right? Wow. What was your lowest weight?
89 pounds.
That's incredible. When did you realize you were sick?
I think when it was like a game to me, I would get on the scale and I just wanted to lose and lose and lose, you know? And at the beginning, it wasn't something that I tried to do. It was just something that started happening, you know, because I had 2 kids under the age of 2 and they're both colicky. And it was a game I was playing with myself. Like I said,
you liked the control you had over food, right? Because you didn't have it elsewhere.
Right. I didn't have it anywhere else, so I just started doing it, yes.
Is this sort of typical of what we see, that because she was undergoing such stressful things, what sort of triggers do we see in women later in life that might precipitate these diseases?
It is very different for each individual, but in midlife there are significant stressors that can contribute to the formation of an eating disorder, such as loss or aging parents, divorce, children leaving the home, and aging itself, changes in appearance and health.
Is there a real stigma attached to this for older women, because people think of this as sort of a teenage disease, but as you mentioned, this is the new face of the disease? How self-conscious are older women about seeking help and admitting that they're sick?
You know, there is a lot of shame sometimes for some of these women who are getting eating disorders later in life. They have expressed to me sometimes, you know, I can't believe I've been dealing with this for so many years and I haven't been able to get past it. Or sometimes they'll say things like, why am I getting this later in life when all these adolescents, this is really more of an adolescent disease.
Did you feel that way at all?
I felt that people were looking, it's like, well, you should know better.
Right.
You know,
You're a mom.
I'm a mom, you know, I should know better. But I think, you know, we really have to focus on the kids too. You know, but we're also from a baby boomer age, you know. We should look perfect, you know, there's Botox out there, you know. We're still not supposed to, you know, grow old, you know.
Right, 40's the new 30, blah, 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 right? Everything,
to, you know,
right.
be thin, you know, be perfect, you know, be the, you know, super mom.
Still
you know, have it all, you know, and still,
what's available? You know. I mean, and you have, for 6 years now, you've been in recovery. What's available for women in this age group for help?
If a woman feels that she might have an eating disorder, I would recommend that she consult with her primary care doctor and then also a psychiatrist or a therapist, preferably one who specializes in eating disorders. And there are a lot of programs that are available now for women 35 and older so that they can be treated in an environment with other women that they can relate to.
That's great. Thank you guys so much for shedding light on this. And thanks, Kathy, for sharing your story. And I'm glad you're doing well now. I know it's not easy. It's Kathy Palmer and Nicole Posner. Now here's Harry with a wrap-up of last night's MTV Video Music Awards.
All right, thanks, Hannah. Miami is still recovering from getting hit by Hurricane Katrina. That was last Thursday. Remember that? Last night, though, the MTV Video Music Awards went on as planned, dominated by veteran rockers Green Day. Early show national correspondent Tracy Smith has the wrap-up.
It's been real nice.
We all knew Diddy had guts to host the VMAs, but gills, he literally swam in. Smart move when you're in Miami.
It's hot as hell out here.
Very hot.
It's Miami, man, you know.
How do you decide what to wear in the Miami heat? Something that doesn't show sweat, something that is no fuss, something that's not see-through.
Despite the festive atmosphere, Hurricane Katrina weighed on everyone's minds.
I'm definitely praying for the people in Louisiana. I'm hoping that that will pass without too much heartache and pain.
Even though Miami was hit by a much weaker Katrina just days earlier, the show went on. Shakira made VMA history with the first ever performance in Spanish.
It's wonderful, you know, it's a great achievement for me, for my community, and I'm happy.
And Kelly Clarkson made a splash.
How did you come up with the idea to drench yourself?
Drench myself? Because I love it. I mean, obviously my video, Hazel Eyes, I'm in a pool of mud, swallowing water, so I'm not afraid of it, but I think it's fun. I think it's different.
As maestro of a string orchestra, Diddy paid tribute to his friend Biggie Smalls, fatally shot in 1997. Sadly, violence continues to plague the rap world. At a party the night before the awards, producer Suge Knight was shot in the leg.
I'm sick of it, you know. Really sick of it, yeah. Because number one is, I think most of it is wannabe. It ain't real. It's a psychodrama.
Word that Diddy was giving out $50,000 apiece to the best-dressed male and female star had everyone buzzing and preening.
I don't think I have a shot at, you know, Diddy's best dress list, but I'm feeling my outfit.
You think you're going to win the Diddy Award for Best Dressed Man?
Think.
Oh, yeah.
I am best dressed. Where's my award?
I got it already. It's all in the bag.
Do you think they look good? In the end, Gwen Stefani and Snoop Dogg took the fashion prizes.
Yeah!
Best R&B video went to VMA veteran Alicia Keys.
I was just totally shocked and surprised. I really was. I did not expect it.
I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams when the city sleeps and I'm the only one.
Green Day took home the most Moon Men, a whopping 7.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Not too shabby.
Yeah. We're definitely not the Susan Lucci of the VMAs tonight.
Congratulations.
But the real winner of the night may have been the host himself.
Okay, the marathon, Broadway, hosting the VMAs.
Yeah, without a doubt.
How are you feeling?
I feel great. This definitely has to be one of the hardest things I've ever done, though.
So, proudest moment tonight?
Man, I would have to say the Biggie performance, you know what I'm saying? And Jamie Foxx. He took off his shirt.
I'm going to tell you something. The orchestra and the Biggie thing.
Hip-hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the limelight 'cause I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the...
For the early show, Tracy Smith, CBS News, Miami.
And other big winners were Kelly Clarkson, Missy Elliott, and Gwen Stefani.
She does always look great. She deserved that fashion award.
She looked
Absolutely.
good. Yeah, we'll be right back with another check of Hurricane Katrina. You're watching the early show on CBS.
There's a momentum at this station. You can feel it in this newsroom. There's an energy here that's contagious.
Ready to go live.
Well, wherever the news is, we're going to know about it. We're going to have it on the air for you.
And we're following breaking news. Most reporters just get the story. Our reporters own the story.
The victim is talking to us. First on 4.
It's not just a job. It's a passion that we all have.
Watch Maggie Rodriguez and Rob Hanrahan on CBS 4 News. All-out coverage.
If you noticed, the screen you're looking at is blank, except for April 2007. That's your first payment date if you finance at Rooms to Go. Now, if you finance furniture elsewhere, these would be the annoying monthly checks you'd pay until April 2007. Miss a payment, you pay big interest penalties. So which do you like better, checks and penalties or Rooms to Go? Great furniture, big savings. No money down, no minimum purchase, no interest, and no payments until April 2007. Hey, good choice.
Clorox regular bleach isn't just for the laundry. It can be used all around the home. That hard-to-clean mildew in the bath and shower? Gone. Ugly toilet stains? Gone. Tough kitchen grout stains? Gone. Hidden germs on faucet handles? Gone. Clorox regular bleach is approved for cafeterias, hospitals, and daycare centers. Why not use it around your home? It disinfects toys to help prevent the spread of cold and flu viruses. It sanitizes, deodorizes, and disinfects all sorts of things. Take it outdoors to remove mildew and moss from patios, fences, and more. If you still think Clorox regular bleach should be relegated to the laundry room, it's time to get the facts. Go online now and download a free tips booklet and start getting more use out of that Clorox regular bleach bottle you already own. Clorox regular bleach. It's ready to go to work. Clorox. Cleaner world, healthier lives.
Well, Katrina came ashore as a Category 4 hurricane this morning. This is a live picture from Mobile, Alabama, and well, this is what's significant is while the worst of the storm looks to have been bypassing New Orleans, it's still going to be hit in a very significant way. The really tough part is going to be along the Mississippi coast all the way out to Mobile. They had winds of over 100 miles an hour just across the state line in Pascagoula, Mississippi already this morning, so it's tough.
Yeah, this is going to slam right into the Gulf Coast, and you see a picture upland a bit on Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We'll have more on Hurricane Katrina as the morning progresses.
Your local news is next.
On an all-new Dr. Phil, a single mom with a double life.
She supports her children by working as a prostitute.
I don't know anything else.
All new Dr. Phil. Today at 3 on CBS 4.
Turn back the clock on aging. The newest, latest, most critical information.
This is a magic pill.
Reduce your cancer risk 50%. The #1 anti-aging food. Inside Secrets, next Oprah.
Today at 4 on CBS 4.
Marlins just announced an exciting new ticket plan that's perfect for the fish fans who need a little more flexibility in their schedule. With the Marlins new Flex 10-pack, you get 10 tickets to use any game, any way you like. One game at a time or all at once, whatever you want. Packs start at just $90. It's flexible, and you'll save dollars and get playoff priority. It's going to be an exciting finish with great games against the Dodgers, Cardinals, Braves, Mets, and Nationals. So call 1-877-MARLINS to get your Flex 10-pack today. Get hooked.
Attention, if you're a Medicare-eligible resident in the Miami area, here's some important news you should know. Humana is announcing a new Silver Sneakers Fitness program, now available for Humana Medicare members. You'll receive a free fitness center membership, group exercise and fitness classes, and personalized service from a senior advisor, all for no additional cost. So call for this free booklet, A Shopper's Guide to Medicare Choices, at 1-800-842-8007. You also get your choice of many doctors, emergency coverage when you travel, and prescription drug coverage that allows you to carry over your unused dollar amounts from one month to the next. You get all this and much more for no plan premium. If your plan doesn't include these benefits, then call now for this free booklet on Humana's newly enhanced benefits at 1-800-842-8007.
There's a momentum at this station. You can feel it in this newsroom. There's an energy here that's contagious.
Ready to go live.
Well, wherever the news is, we're going to know about it. We're going to have it on the air for you.
And we're following breaking news. Most reporters just get the story. Our reporters own the story.
The victim is talking to us. First on 4.
It's not just a job. It's a passion that we all have.
Watch Maggie Rodriguez and Rob Hanrahan on CBS 4 News. All-out coverage. Now, live. This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
And good morning, South Florida. Good to be with you as always this morning. I'm Danielle Knox. I'm Angela Ray in for Susan Barnett. We have a very busy day ahead of us. Here's a look now at where we stand in terms of restoring power in South Florida. As of early this morning, more than 200,000 customers remain without electricity in Miami-Dade, and more than 100,000 are in the dark in Broward. Over 1 million customers, though, have had their power restored since Katrina swept through our area. And as Katrina roars ashore on the Gulf Coast right now, South Florida is still recovering from its visit here. The storm forcing many of South Florida's schools to close this morning. Miami-Dade County public and Catholic schools will be closed today, but in Broward, the schools are open. All Catholic schools in Broward County will be open as well, with just a few exceptions due to building damage. Parents are encouraged to contact individual schools. In northwest Miami-Dade, water and ice will be given out today from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It will take place in the Carroll City Park Complex parking lot, 3201 Northwest 185th Street. And now our chief meteorologist, Brian Norcross, has the very latest on the hurricane as it makes landfall along the Gulf Coast.
All right, Daniel, thanks very much. Now, first of all, let's just take a look at real-time radar here and see what's happening locally. And you see that we have some showers offshore now. We've had a couple come ashore down in extreme South Dade and the Keys, but everything offshore for now. Now, later on today, a few may develop, a few of these may move onshore, but it's going to be mostly, I think, a rain-free day. All right, now, here is the latest on the hurricane, just in off the wire. So I'll write down the numbers for you. It's 135 miles per hour. Now, it's still moving to the north at 15 miles per hour. So it is still a Category 4. At New Orleans, they had winds gust up to 86, 100-mile-an-hour winds at Gulfport, Mississippi. That's over here near Biloxi. So that's where we stand. Still, tremendous storm surge is expected. The likelihood is, of course, that the storm is going to stay to the east of New Orleans. That puts tremendous pressure in Mississippi. Most of the damage is probably going to end up Mississippi and east of New Orleans. Now, here's our local forecast. Steamy and a little bit stormy today, up to 92 for the boaters. South winds at 15 to 20 knots, 2 to 6 feet in the open sea for tonight. Muggy and just a few fast-moving storms down to 80, and just afternoon storms developing toward the end of the week. Now to Ty, the traffic guy.
Hey, Brian, good morning. South Florida, lots of things going on in Broward County, and there's no school taking place there. Let's move over and take a look at the maps. On 595 east and westbound, you will find a crash between Nob Hill and University. Both sides of the road slowing that down just a bit. State Road 84 may be a great alternate for you. If you're on 95 heading northbound right around Hollywood, earlier crash report in that area, that should be wrapping up. Now we get something taking place on 75 right around Miramar Parkway, an accident involving an 18-wheeler. If that's the route you travel, expect some slowdowns in that area. Looking at the Palmetto, slow go. Northbound, you'll find a crash right around 58. Keep it here on CBS 4. We'll have a complete Katrina update from David Bernard in just moments. Until then, remember, if you're traveling out there, be safe. A lot of traffic lights aren't working. We'll see you again real soon.
Hey, everybody. Guess who just got a great deal on Comcast digital cable with On Demand? Chelsea, that's endless kids programming.
Really?
And honey, with HBO On Demand, you can watch Sex and the City whenever you want, and you don't have to plan ahead.
Well, you can't do that with satellite.
Uncle Joey, you get all the best Gearhead programs to start as soon as you're ready. Plus terrific history programs for you, Nigel. And then there's HBO's newest series, Rome. It's the saga of two soldiers during the rise of an empire. Augustine, Claudius, I'll bet you'll like that.
Sixonitus negotii secundi.
Get a great deal on Comcast digital cable with On Demand. That's all the best channels like Nickelodeon and Discovery Channel, plus a library of movies and shows to start anytime. Best of all, On Demand is included free. And with HBO On Demand, you can start the latest movies and series, including the original uncut Sex and the City and the new epic drama Rome whenever you want. Get Comcast digital cable with HBO On Demand for just $29.99 a month for 3 months. Call today.
Watch the Fantasy 5 drawing weeknights on CBS 4 News at 11, your lottery station.
Now live from CBS 4 Weather Control, this is a Hurricane Katrina update.
Good morning to you, South Florida. I'm Angela Ray.
And I'm Danielle Knox. Good to be with you this morning. We want to update you right now on the very latest as it relates to Hurricane Katrina, now making landfall in Louisiana.
Meteorologist David Bernard is from New Orleans and is tracking the storm for us right now. David.
Well, and a lot of difficulty for me this morning because I obviously have a lot of emotional attachment to friends and family back here in New Orleans this morning, but I can tell you the weather is as bad as it's going to get in New Orleans right now. The storm is 40 miles southeast of the city. Winds still 135 miles per hour. This update just in as of 9 a.m. moving north at 15 miles per hour. So still a Category 4 storm. Hurricane Katrina. Very dangerous situation. And again, we'd heard those recent reports of already some roof failures in and around New Orleans. And in addition, around a lot of windows being blown out. And that's the center of the storm. And there's New Orleans. So New Orleans is in the western eye wall right now. Tremendous storm surge getting ready to push into the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Now, you've heard a lot about New Orleans filling up with water and flooding. That scenario will probably be avoided today because the track went east of New Orleans instead of west, which is the worst case scenario for that city. However, they are experiencing Category 3 to Category 4 hurricane winds right now, and I do know that there is quite a bit of damage that's being reported, and we're just now beginning to hear about some of that. Let's look at real-time Doppler, and we can see that we have, again, the center down here over Plaquemines, and there's the intense storm over the New Orleans area in Slidell as we speak. That's the latest on Hurricane Katrina. We can show you another view, a little bit wider out, and you can see that these heavy storms are extending up into the Mississippi Gulf Coast, also into St. Tammany Parish, and again down to the south. This is Grand Isle. This is actually an inhabited barrier island. Obviously, the people down there evacuated, but they're going to get a tremendous amount of storm surge into the area as well. Again, winds right now in Hurricane Katrina, 135 miles per hour, moving to the north at 15 miles per hour. So that's the latest on that. Now, what I want to show you here is why there may be a lot of storm surge flooding across New Orleans. Why? They're surrounded by water. The lake to the north and to the east and to the south, and here's the Mississippi River. So the city is surrounded by water. Now, normally, if the hurricane had come in from the west of the city, that would allow the entire Gulf to empty into Lake Pontchartrain, but it's not. Right now, the hurricane's moving to the east of downtown, and so we don't think the storm surge flooding is going to be quite as severe.
All right, David, sounds good. You know, we have Brian Andrews in New Orleans right now, and we do have him live on the phone.
Brian, we know it's getting code critical. Tell us verbatim exactly what's going on. Take us there.
Hi, Angela. Right now, I am squatting down in the lobby next to a payphone. I am staring straight across at a giant wall of glass. It's a giant atrium glass window looking out onto Canal Street, and part of the wall has just been taken out by some sort of hurricane debris. There's shattered glass everywhere. We can hear the wind howling. We also lost another window on the other side of the atrium. There has just been a report that part of the Louisiana Superdome has had a structural failure. Part of the roof has apparently come down. People are getting sprayed with water. We're not sure if there are any injuries. There's nobody I can call at this point because the power's out in New Orleans, and We're just going to have to wait till things get a little bit safer. Outside, I got to tell you, if there is ever such thing as 130-mile-an-hour wind gust, I think we're looking at it. It is amazing. Stuff is flying through the air like you would not believe.
Wow.
Street poles are bending. Giant palm trees that have been in place forever, like the size of the palm trees you see on the 395 heading into Miami Beach, they're being snapped, thrown into the roadway. We're really getting the brunt of those winds right now. And, hey, Kevin. Come on over here for a second. My photographer is on the other side of the lobby trying to get some pictures.
Now, Brian, let me interrupt you for just a second because you're painting just such, a very visual picture for all of us here, but you're there crouched down in the lobby. Obviously, there are a lot of folks there crouched down in the lobby right along with you, right?
Well, let me paint the picture for you. We're probably the only people on the ground floor right now with the exception of a handful of New Orleans police officers, some fire officials, and a couple of the hotel security folks. Everybody in this hotel is up 5 floors above us in the grand ballroom, which doesn't have any windows and really isn't a danger. That's where they're asking everyone to ride this thing out. And it's a great place. I slept on the floor last night like everybody else, and they gave us coffee this morning, and they've been great, considering that it's a Category 4 storm.
Right.
But what we wanted to do is we wanted to get the pictures, and we wanted to do it the smart way, because if you go out in this thing, there's a chance that we could get hit with something. And I do want to come home to Miami Shores.
And we want you to come home. That's right.
So what we're doing is we're taking all of our video through the glass in the lobby. That way we don't hurt ourselves or our equipment, and we still get great pictures. The pictures, I can't wait to show you this stuff. I mean, words just
we've
can't
got
do
some now.
Let's do it because I know that you sent some pictures in. We're going to put the pictures up. We'll tell you what they are. You talk us through it. Looks like there's a fire engine. It looks like on the left-hand side, and then some cars on screen right. What is that, Brian?
This is the motor lobby of the Sheraton, which has become like a left-turn wind tunnel. The winds are racing down Canal Street, and somehow, because of the way the building is shaped, the wind then just takes a turn and comes ripping right through where these fire engines and police cars are parked. And this is how we got out of the hotel and toward that open expanse there. That's Canal Street. And we actually stuck our heads out there for a few minutes and shot some tape. I think there's another image that I was able to get in as well before the email went down.
Yes, I can't quite make out what it is.
Well, that's how bad it is. It is so wet. It's just like being in a blizzard, only we're not dealing with snow. We're dealing with a wall of water. Water just coated the camera lens, and it's blowing around like snow. I mean, I'm looking outside, and it's white.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Yeah. As we look at these pictures, Brian, how does this rate for you in terms of worst hurricanes that you've been in and or covered and have experienced personally?
My first ever hurricane I covered as a young radio reporter just out of high school. It was Hurricane Hugo, and I was scared to death.
Yeah.
I was in Charleston for that.
Yep.
But I didn't get a chance to see it because we were all bunkered down in a shelter. Well, this time, this is a Category 4, even stronger than Hugo, and I'm getting to watch it play by play out these plate glass windows. So it's just to see the power of this thing. And we were talking earlier on the air about how people are getting through this, and to see people up in the ballroom praying, holding hands together, praying out loud, and moms holding their little kids who were crying, and it was really sweet. This couple, it's an older couple, they've got a little poodle, and their poodle's with them, and the poodle's crying and yelping, and he's petting the dog, saying it's going to be okay. And that's the real human picture of what's going on right now in this hotel.
Most
as this storm is bearing down on the bayou. It is Did you hear that?
We did. What was that?
All right, we just lost another giant piece of plate glass on the front of the lobby. There's got to be 28 panes. We've lost 8 of them now. If this whole front window goes, it's going to expose this entire, it's going to expose the entire lobby to these 115-mile-an-hour winds. Kevin, I want you to be really careful of flying glass.
Why don't you do this, Brian? You know what? Because we tape this, so we can replay this until you can call us safely. Because if you're the only ones, along with some police officers down there on that ground floor, you probably need to get up to the 5th floor, take cover just for a while, and then certainly when it's safe enough to come back down. And we, obviously look forward to hearing from you again. But pretty scary situation there, and we definitely want you to stay safe.
That's what we're going to do. My photographer and I, we're going to move to another location so we don't get hit with anything. And I'll try you back throughout the day. But,
Sounds good.
I'll tell you this right now. It's really bad. They lost part of the Superdome. We're losing part of the lobby here. And the floodwaters, that's next.
Okay, Brian, we're going to talk power here because I've been checking to see if you had power in your house yet. I don't know if you do, but we're going to talk about what's happening here in South Florida as far as people not having any power.
That's right. Here's where we stand right now in terms of restoring power right here at home in South Florida. As of early this morning, more than 212,000 people do remain without electricity in Miami-Dade. That's more than 100,000 in the dark in Broward. Over 1 million customers, though, overall have had their power restored since Katrina swept through in our area.
Now, as Katrina swept ashore on the Gulf Coast, South Florida is still recovering from its visit right here. The storm forcing many South Florida schools to close this morning. Miami-Dade County public and Catholic schools, however, will remain closed today, but in Broward County, the schools are open. All Catholic schools in Broward County will be open with a few exceptions because of building damage. Miami-Dade officials plan to make an announcement later today about whether they will open schools tomorrow. Of course, as soon as we know anything, we'll bring it right to you.
And in Northwest Miami-Dade, water and ice will be given out today from 8 o'clock about an hour ago until about 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's going to take place in the Carroll City Park Complex parking lot. Now, let's give you an address. That's 3201 Northwest 185th Street. Metro Zoo will also be giving away ice today. So, but when you do go there, be sure and bring your identification. As we've said to you all morning long, we are keeping a very close eye on the storm, and we'll have more for you throughout the morning.
So stay tuned to CBS 4 News for the very latest on Hurricane Katrina. We'll see you later.
Leaf Plus Cleansing, wherever you go.